처음 챔피언십을 만났을 땐 지혜가 있었죠. 그 다음엔 여러 명이 거쳐갔지만 이 자리를 지킨다는 건 아마도 거부할 수 없는 나만의 매력? 피파 고모가 되기까지 쉽지 않았어요. 끝없는 자기 관리가 중요하죠. 피파 온라인 3 챔피언십 놓치지 않을 거예요. EA 스포츠 피파 온라인 3 아디다스 챔피언십 2016이에요.
아픈데요, 롱주?
Ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back. Day 3 of week number 2 of the Coca-Cola Zero League of Legends Champions Korea Summer 2016. My name is Reed Rapid Melton, joined once again by Nicholas L.S. de Cesare, and we are coming back to you guys with a match between Longzhu and KT Rolster. See some big cheers from the crowd down here at the Nexon Arena. If you are in Gangnam, Seoul, South Korea, come down and watch some good League of Legends. And I think good is a little bit of an understatement when it comes to KT Rolster. They've always been sort of like the perennial like second or third place team in Korea, but Longzhu are the ones that are really going to have the challenge here tonight.
Right, and I guess the story for Longzhu right now is, are they going to finally pull it together and bring out a win today? They're down 0-4 right now in terms of win-to-loss ratio, so that's not a very good feeling. But KT almost losing out in that series last week against MVP in that nail-biter ending where Nexus lived with 53 HP, so I don't know if KT is actually so hot right now.
Well, you can see there they are on your screen. KT Rolster will be starting out with Someday Score, Fly, Arrow, and Hachani because they don't actually have any substitute players. So you will be seeing this roster for KT every single game. And I know that's actually a little bit unique this season. I believe KT and MVP are the only two teams that only have those 5 players, no substitutes. They'll be playing every game.
Right, and we were just talking about before the cast how Longzhu has 9 players on their roster, I believe.
It's a little bit ridiculous. I think they actually have, was that 7 players currently.
7? Okay.
Yeah, it's Expression, Chaser, Crash, Coco, Emperor, Fury, and Thor. So, I'll have to double check that one. But
quite a big difference.
Yeah, right, definitely a difference. And it was something that Longzhu actually hyped up last season when they made the swap from IM to Longzhu, they had great salaries. They attracted some of the best players out there. Flame notoriously used to be here before he went over to China, and I think it's been a little bit of a struggle for Longzhu because they have these great players. They just got Emperor this season, coming over from a first place finish in Europe, and now they are struggling. And I think that's kind of an understatement when you consider kill-less games versus teams like Jin Air, who are really putting in a lot of work and effort. You can tell that they're on top of their game.
Right, and I mean, Longzhu's roster, if you look at it on paper, it looks great, but nothing's really coming from it in the games. And Emperor not really having the hottest of showing. He was used in place of Fury in one of the sets. But I don't know what they're going to be able to pull out here today. Emperor will be on the starting roster for today's match, so looking to bounce back. And last time he played Caitlyn and Ezreal, so two of the big 3 AD carries right now.
Right, and it's a very meta champion pools too, whether or not we see Fury subbed in later on. It's nice to see Emperor out here in Korea. He did okay, but that's okay in the context of teams that are really of a team that's really struggling here currently. If you guys are fans from Europe or Brazil and you're fans of Emperor, it's good to see him now back in Korea, ready to make another run at Champions. But as long as you have a lot of things to work on currently, I believe they'll actually be starting with Chaser currently in the jungle. So not going to see Crash. I think Crash is a player that really impressed at least me last season when he had like 80% kill participation every game. But Chaser definitely in there as well. He's a very transformative player. He used to be known by Real Foxy way back in the day, and nobody likes to talk about those days because it was a dark time. But renamed, and definitely I guess a good player coming into this season. Just really surprising to see such lackluster results from Longzhu. But like we said in our opening intro video, if you guys caught that, just trust them, and hopefully that trust will not be unfounded as we get into today's series.
Yeah, and we're going to be getting into the game in just a second, and I'm just, I'm curious to see how it's going to actually unfold. Is KT just going to do a quick 2-0, or is Longzhu going to show that they did improve since their last series, and are they going to be able to hold up a resistance against KT? And again, it is still early into the season, so it's not like Longzhu can't fix stuff up and then recover,
right,
by mid-late season or something. But definitely right now, it is definitely troublesome.
It is a struggle for Longzhu, and I guess it kind of has been since the rebranding underneath the Longzhu organization. I mean, Longzhu have been a team that have attracted some of the best names in Korean League of Legends out there. I mean, guys like Smeb and Rainover and like all these guys, like at some point have sort of made their way through this IM Longzhu team, but it is a team that currently features a lot of players that need to do a lot here today. I was reading an article on a Korean website that talked about coach predictions for this season, and almost every single one of them had KT as one of, if not the strongest team coming into this split. So definitely an uphill battle, and for KT, just looking for more impressive performances. I've never seen a team that has more, just like, the carries deal the damage and literally no one else. They don't have carry top laners, junglers, and well, I mean, it's possible because, you got Score in the jungle, and he's always looking to bring back his carry roots. But Fly and Arrow this season have just been going off, so huge performances coming into today's game.
Right, and as you were just mentioning about Fly and Arrow, the carry is dealing the damage. Both of them almost make up respectively 30% of the team's damage, so that is where the gold is being allocated, and that is where the damage is coming from. And Score and Someday, are just making up basically the supportive roles for that, and just enabling them to do what they really need to do. And
you can see them there on your screen right now as we pan over the KT lineup there in their booths, just working on a couple of issues to before we get ready to go into game. But man, this is actually really exciting for a couple of different reasons. One, KT have always been the team that has almost achieved the first place finish, and they've come really close every single time. The Telecom War is always one of the most hyped up matches between KT and SKT, but they always fall just barely short. In fact, the only tournament that KT's actually won in Champions is the qualification for Worlds, that 2015 season that SKT just didn't make it. So that is a little bit troubling because they're always like close to the top, but always having a few issues getting there. But this certainly looks like a very strong season for them, and certainly excited to see what they have in store for us here tonight.
Yeah, and the other thing about Longzhu, an interesting statistic that I think is pretty important to point out, is almost all of their lanes have a CS deficit at 10, with the exception being Coco, who averages a 12 CS differential in mid lane, which, if you follow mid lane, that is absolutely gigantic.
Yeah, especially when it's not just about the mid lane farm, but he does that while roaming to other lanes too, which is pretty impressive. So Coco, definitely something that is a source of strength for Longzhu, but it's not just about having one player be good or bad, it's the team coming together, and that's really what's looked a little bit shaky. In fact, in their series versus the Jin Air Green Wings last week, if you guys got a chance to catch that, they had a kill-less game, and if you want to subject yourself to that, it is a whole lot of just being very passive, very unsure, and even in games like in their series versus the Afrika Freaks earlier on, they had advantages in that series. They were ahead like 6,000 gold, but they just didn't have the confidence to close out the game. And I think confidence and that team synergy is really something we'll be looking for from Longzhu tonight.
Right, absolutely. And what you were just talking about the inability to close out games, it's not something that we haven't seen from some other Korean teams so far. We were mentioning in yesterday's cast that advantages were very difficult to press forward with, and that has actually been a little bit of a worrying trend while watching the game so far this season. But hopefully that changes today, and also we hope for no Swain picks, even though Someday did play Swain last week in that nail-biter match against MVP. So
okay, that match, go back and watch that. If you guys haven't seen the Longzhu MVP series, or the KT MVP series, it was very, very, very close. So definitely worth watching, worth catching, and hopefully today's games will be just as exciting now that we have KT coming back, masters of the comeback. We'll see if they can keep that going here tonight. Otherwise, I think this is our first full week of games in LCK, so starting to get underway. Week 2 coming up here, just kind of getting into the swing of things. Been in Korea about almost 2 weeks now, and it's a lot to get used to. It's exciting to come down here to the studio and see fans in the audience who are used to coming to LCK and who do this socially. You come here, you see all your friends, you watch some Korean League of Legends. Sounds pretty good to me.
It is. And no, the crowd is made up of mostly females, by the way.
I saw that in the Reddit thread yesterday about how, there's actually the fan clubs here for the players and the teams are actually ridiculous. They gave us some snacks yesterday. I think it was Kuzan's anniversary for when he first started here in LCK.
His birthday.
Oh, I think it was actually his anniversary. I think I said birthday, but I think I misread it.
Really?
But, yeah, I'm pretty sure it's the anniversary of when he first started playing.
All right.
So, started a year ago, so nice to see that. And like I said, fan clubs are ridiculous, so it's awesome to see so much support out here in the audience. Had a lot of foreigners stop by yesterday, too, and it's always cool to see people come by and watch the best League of Legends.
It is indeed, and I'm not totally sure, and I apologize, by the way, for the delays, what exactly is going on right now.
We got to bottle up all this greatness and then just release it when... No. I don't know what's about to happen. We're seeing players sort of doing... Coco's got this thing where he macro spams all of his buttons. If you watch StarCraft players, they'll do that too, where they're just getting their APM up, ready to go. He's got his starting build order.
Yeah.
All well thought out.
Yeah, he's doing the 1A, 2A, 3A, 4A from StarCraft right now in the lobby.
It's actually really cool to see some of these different players' play styles. I know everybody has their own individual quirks, whether it's trackball, mouse pads, or covering your mouse with a towel, or all sorts of wacky stuff that's out there. So everybody's got to get comfortable. My ritual was eating a sandwich before the broadcast. It was super good.
What kind of a sandwich?
It's an egg salad sandwich. But it's not just any egg salad sandwich. It's spicy egg salad.
Wait, today?
Yeah, it was right before the broadcast.
From CU Mart?
It was something do I know? No. It was a sandwich. It was good.
Was it good?
It was super
good.
What
would you give it?
I don't know. Is there a rating scale? Is it or a sandwich rating
1
scale?
through 10.
Okay, 1 through 10. It's probably a solid 6 or 7. It's nothing spectacular, but as far as sandwiches go, it was great. I'll have to give a rating scale to these games after we finally get into them. See if they are as good as my sandwich. As a professional player, I would hope that your goal would be to make your games as better than sandwiches. That seems like a pretty good benchmark. We're currently getting KT all situated and set up back into the game, so just trying to get everything back and underway. Somebody told me I talked too much yesterday, and I was like, well, that's kind of my job. So let's try to make this as entertaining as possible. You can see Emperor there on your screen, a new addition to Longzhu this season. So excited to see how he performs. He split games with Fury last week, so it's not like he hasn't gotten a whole lot of playtime. I guess no one's gotten a whole lot of playtime. We're only 2 weeks into the season so far. So looking forward to seeing how he performs, how he meshes back in to the Korean system after having been, I think, the most well-traveled player here today.
Yeah, for sure. He
Aside
went from
from
Brazil.
Lustboy.
Well, he went from Korea to Brazil to Europe, I think. Now back to Korea.
Back to
So,
Korea. It's like the reverse Korean exodus.
has there been a player that's played in every region?
Suno has come really close. He played in Korea, North America, Brazil, and Europe. So I don't think he's played in Taiwan yet, but he's really close. He's currently the mid laner for, I think, the SK Gaming Challenger roster. So he's been around.
That's pretty impressive, though. He's
Yeah.
definitely traveled in his
very
adventure in League of Legends. So,
Absolutely.
well, all the KT players have almost left the lobby. So
Yeah, they decided they're not actually playing today. It's like,
Yeah.
oops, we're actually supposed to be scrimming right now. Maybe that's
Okay.
why they thought they came to the studio. I don't know. Hachani is the only KT player left in the lobby right now.
yeah,
He's just,
1v5.
He's just like spamming question marks right now. He's like, team, where'd they go?
Now he's writing, "This is my story."
All right, we're about to hear a story from Hachani. It's like, I'm the sniper. So he's going to 1v5 ace all kill
All right.
LZ right now. I don't know, man.
Coco says, "Check this out."
Okay, well, man, we're having this awesome battle in chat in the lobby.
Hachani versus Coco
Oh
rap
my
battle
God.
going on in the League of Legends chatting lobby.
This is actually insane.
I don't
I never
know,
thought I'd consider someday a sniper quite yet, or Hachani rather. Hachani is the spectator right now. I'm not sure if that's what's going on, but we're just waiting to get all of the players in the lobby. And in the meantime, they're actually just being hilarious. So wish you guys could be here to see this. If you guys are ever in Korea, come on down. I think tickets to watch here are like less like $4 or something like that. So ridiculously inexpensive.
Yeah, something like 3 or 4,000 Korean won, which is about $2.50 to $3 American, roughly.
Plus, you get to hang out with us, so I mean, pretty
Yeah.
cool. You get to hang out with all these screaming Korean fans every single time a player does something insane in games. I don't know if you guys can hear it on stream through our microphones, but the crowd actually just loses their minds. It's like the end of the world here. It's like, oh my goodness, that was the best thing I've ever seen, and it'll be interesting to see the fan reactions. This is honestly one of my favorite parts about like casting Korean League of Legends live here in Korea is just seeing the fan reactions. Because in North America it's always cool, everybody claps, but like people like legitimately just go absolutely crazy over these games. It's really cool to see that fan reaction. It's like the mecca of esports.
Yeah, it is. You only really, sometimes, I mean, I've been to NALCS, right, for coaching, but the reactions mid-game or while the game is happening, I don't think there's anything except it, like in Korea, unless it's an international event.
Right. International events, super exciting. Super excited to see international players here. You got guys like Lustboy, like Emperor. Who else was it? Fly. Also, he's made the rounds. He was. In case you guys are in college watching this broadcast, Fly actually used to play collegiate League of Legends for Cheonan Technical University.
Oh,
Way back in the day.
my friend Mimo was on there,
Oh,
the old
yeah.
MVP mid
Way
laner.
back in the day.
Yes.
Man, we're taking back in my day.
Yeah.
Starting to show our age
Back in
here.
my day.
Yeah, so Fly started out playing collegiate League of Legends. Then he joined, I think it was Jin Air. Yeah, Jin Air. And then he was part of the Korean exodus to China. He played on teams like IG, and then on their... I don't think he ever actually played for IG, but then he joined Young Glory, their sister team, and now he's back in Korea. So nice to see sort of the reverse Korean exodus coming back and bringing a lot of talented players along with it. So Fly currently the only mid laner for Korea.
Now the players are saying, can we play this game?
They just want a 1v5. Yeah, Coco is ready to go, and Hachani's just like, hey man, let's go. So we're waiting to see the players go. I think Hachani just wants to have Someday 1v5 right now, because Someday is the only KT player in the lobby, but looks like we are about to go. This is actually hilarious. I wish we could broadcast the spectator lobby. Probably the best part of the game so far, because there hasn't been any part of the game so far. So the players are actually all ready to go in the lobby now, so we should be starting off game number 1 here very, very shortly. I know that's what you guys came for. It's what I came for. Actually, I came for they have some sick Coca-Cola Zero here too, so I was definitely like pretty excited about that. I always love when like events that I work for like have like food or drink sponsors. I'm like, yes, big fans of that. So not totally just selling out. I actually do like enjoy food a lot.
Do you like Coca-Cola? Are you a Coke or a Pepsi fan?
Am I allowed to have an opinion?
I think so.
Oh boy. Well, I had the stuff they offered us yesterday, and it was super good. Much like League of Legends, LS.
You know what else is super good? That we're getting into the game.
Hey, big fan of actually playing games or watching games, casting games. So let's go ahead and get picks and bans up on your screen and underway. Patch 6.10 still, even though patch 6.11 is coming out soon. We're going to see first ban Sivir there by Longzhu. Not going to give that one over away to Arrow.
Yeah, Arrow played that twice so far, so it's the only AD carry that he has showcased.
Probably a pretty good one to take away from him.
Ryze ban, not so strange. However, none of these top laners have played Ryze yet, so it's not like there's any sort of targeting being done there.
Yep. Ryze has been 100% pick or ban, mostly ban. I think he's only been picked up 2 or 3 times so far.
Right.
So.
And Bard, a support that both support mains share right now. So picks and bans are relatively standard currently. The only ban that is a little suspect is definitely Trundle, so we're going to have to see what Longzhu's intentions are with that Trundle ban.
Right. Well, Hachani has always been a big melee tank player, so with things like Alistar, Braum, Trundle definitely, I think it was his second most played champion last season. So nice to see at least one melee support ban. Hachani, double MVP for his Taric performance. If you guys got a chance to catch the first KT game of the season, it was monstrous. I've never seen Taric do those things. It's crazy. So he's pretty good with it. He might actually bring it out again, depending on how much of an AD-centric comp Longzhu goes with.
And well, Rek'Sai locked in for Expression, so that is taking away the Rek'Sai from Score, who played that last week.
Someday hovering over
Teemo.
Actually did hit Malzahar there. Now, Malz is a pick that I know...
Malz is a pick that was absolutely broken, but it looks like he just doesn't belong in professional play after his hot picks, but he's still probably a solo queue hero.
Okay, now for KT, Fly and Arrow, like you said, do deal over half of their team's damage together. So nice to see a safe pick there in Caitlyn to allow Arrow and some strength, and Someday back on those tanks up in the top lane. No real surprises there.
And now the Echo coming out, and I'm a little surprised that Echo wasn't prioritized by Someday, and he was given over to Chaser, who he has 3 Echo games. So it's they probably know that if they take the Maokai, that Chaser is going to go with the Echo pick. So they could have predicted that, and so maybe they have something set up for it that we're going to see in the later stages of the draft. But then they take Karma.
Right.
And this isn't a support that you would associate with Pure.
Yeah, you can see the win rate up there on your screen. Only 40%. Not really a super popular pick. Maybe just picking up for its flex possibilities. I mean, there's a little bit of flex there with Echo too. Could be the mind game that Longzhu are playing right now. It's like some flexibility there.
And now the Braum coming in for Hachani, and that's what you were talking about the tanky engaged supports, Alistar, Braum, you know, making those up. And now Elise is locked in, so Relatively standard picks all across the board, with the exception of the Karma pick.
Did you know Someday, actually a very popular top lane Elise player, way back in the day when top lane Elise was
Before people realized Elise belongs in the jungle.
Yeah, before there. Well, she had a lot of changes, so those did kind of take her out of top lane contention. Last two picks coming in here for Longzhu, and it looks like Pure might be thinking about flexing that Karma and Echo pick a little bit by picking up an Azir, so that does look like it'll be top lane Echo, so that's going to stay there, but swapping the Karma from mid to support, along with a relatively late pick on Lucian. Kind of surprising to see one of, if not the most popular AD carry right now, be saved so late in the draft.
Yeah, for sure, and in before support Azir. No, I'm just kidding, but Lucian Karma is definitely an extremely powerful lane. They can basically light you up in just a few seconds, so that's going to round out the team composition for Longzhu. I'm still not sold on that Karma pick, especially if you are going to be running in Azir. But the protection that Echo and Rek'Sai is going to grant is
so we're looking for a
be fine.
Mid lane pick for Fly, and with the Varus being hovered over, Varus kind of the surprise pick for me this season. Relatively popular. I think we've seen him like 3 or 4 times, and it's one of, if not the best poke AD mid laner. I think probably the only AD poke mid laner that's being run right now.
And Varus is locked in. So Varus is basically the thing that Longzhu's team composition has. They have the speed up and the acceleration that Karma is going to grant, which can enable Rek'Sai and Echo to basically get into position and do whatever they really need to do when the skirmish breaks out. But at its core, it still is a protect the Azir comp, and what better way to break a defense, with a rain of arrows. So that is what Varus is going to do.
Sounds good. Also, Grievous Wounds, pretty good to see there. I've seen that be more prioritized in previous games, but just an interesting set. So, off the top of your head, as we see these two team comps come out, who do you give the advantage to, LS?
Well, given that it's a blue side Azir, well, Longzhu's composition I think is a lot stronger on blue side, although Rek'Sai would benefit a little bit more from being red side. But I think Longzhu's composition is a little bit stronger on blue side, so it does give it a little bit of leeway. I actually like both comps.
Well, it's going to be exciting to see KT Rolster versus Longzhu. Game number 1 will be coming up here in just a minute. A lot to prove here for Longzhu, as they are currently winless, facing off against one of the teams that is estimated to be one of the strongest. KT Rolster versus Longzhu. Game number 1 coming up. You see our starting lineups on your screen right now. Special Chaser, Coco, Emperor, Pure, Sunday Score, Fly, Arrow, and Achani. Your starting lineups for both teams. Well, let's go ahead and get into game. My favorite part of the broadcast, LS.
The fangirls.
It's just absolutely insane, the kind of passion that's being shown towards both of these teams. We got viewers here in the audience. If you guys are watching elsewhere, then thanks for tuning in to tonight's broadcast of Longzhu versus KT. Game number 1 starting off, and always good to start off with the win conditions for both of these teams. So what are they looking to do, LS?
Well, KT's team composition is basically just going to look to poke out Longzhu in the later stages of the game and somehow just wither them down before the team fight ends up occurring. And then once that does happen, they can just pick off whoever, and then they can transition that into objective control. They do also have the ability to act as a pseudo-pick comp inside of the Maokai and the Elise, so we might see some bush shenanigans like we saw in the previous series.
Yeah,
but Longzhu's team composition now, I know that I said in the very beginning that I like their team comps, and they do perform a little bit stronger on blue side, with the exception being Rek'Sai, the only champion that would benefit from being a red side champion. But Longzhu's composition, I think, if they were a better team overall, I think that it would power over KT's. They just want to scale up, get that Azir really strong, get to that 3-item, 4-item Echo, and just run over KT.
All right, now Longzhu did go in for an invade. They were spotted, their duo lane was, but they will not be spotted leaving the jungle. So as far as KT knows, they stayed there. But now they're actually going to reveal that it is going to be a double lane swap. So the lanes will be inverted for the start here. We've got the Australian lanes, I think they're called. Flipping things over. Expression does get the matchup versus Someday. So who wins off of these lane swaps? Which team is it better for?
Well, definitely Karma and Lucian would have benefited from the lane swap much more so than KT, and that's just because of the damage that Karma can offer early on. And then on top of that, Karma would be able to match Braum on any sort of shenanigans that could occur in mid lane. So definitely KT comes out ahead in terms of the lane swap being matched, so that's good for them. Other than that, I think everything is going to be relatively standard. Water Dragon is the first one that's coming up, and that is going to be much more beneficial to Longzhu than I think it would be to KT, with the only exception is Varus could definitely make use of that dragon buff.
What's being pointed out on your screen right now is that, you know, while Longzhu are winless currently, they actually do deal a lot of damage in their games. So this is from obviously the previous season, but they are still looking for their first win. You know that things are bad when you have to make your team motto "Trust us." So that's is going to be preying on a lot of fans' trust in their series here, and it's an uphill battle on paper.
Yeah, one thing I want to point out really quick is we just saw that small little camera on Echo and Maokai in bot lane, and honestly, Echo was under almost no pressure, and he wasn't going to lose any minion wave, but he chose to do a very, I don't know how you would call it, just not a very efficient ward. He could have definitely placed it up a little bit further, which would have given more intel into Scuttlecrab and ultimately given Chaser more knowledge of where Elise could be or where she isn't. So I don't really like that by expression.
All right, well, Chaser definitely scouted out here, walked over to Scuttlecrab and a ward. Smite, good for score. Man, mid lane, Fly versus Coco. Ooh, okay, that's a little bit dangerous. Both mid laners relatively low on HP and mana, so gotta play it carefully.
Yeah. Now, I know that you just said that they are relatively low on HP and mana. However, we noticed that Varus has a lot more mana than Coco,
right,
and this matchup can also be won through mana. So something we talked about in earlier broadcast was the ability to attack a champion's mana.
Oh, here comes Chaser. There's the flash forcing out. Flies. Do you think that gank was actually designed to get a kill or just blow that summoner?
It could have. I'm not sure if Coco was just not in position to combo up off of that. I think that getting Varus' flash is completely fine here. One thing that's important to mention is this is not Temp's Varus, so you'll notice the summoner is heal rather than teleport. So that gank is actually a lot more powerful than it would have been if Varus had teleport.
Right, he does opt to recall right there, kind of had to at that HP. Fly coming back from base, does pick up his Tear of the Goddess, so he'll have that to stack up. First buy for Coco, the Stinger,
Yep.
which you will be able to build into Trinity Force very soon.
And Someday doing an excellent job in bot lane. Look at this. There's already a 10 CS differential, and there's about to be 6 more. So 16 CS difference at 5.5 minutes. Never mind, Expression chooses to stay.
Well, I mean, you can't really just lose the wave and the experience this early on, so.
Yeah, he has no real choice there. There is a CS difference in mid, though, that is already amounting, so curious to see if Coco is going to continue to live up to his stats and create a 12 CS or higher differential at 10 minutes here against Fly. Some rotations by Elise right now I think are relatively questionable. They know that generally Rek'Sai is going to have no usage being on the right-hand side of the map. There's no sort of dragon timing. There was no synergistic recall timings with top lane, which is where the bot lane is right now. So Score's movements on Elise right now are a little bit questionable unless he was just hoping to get some of the timers in on Wraiths and Red and whatnot.
Actually going to go over the Dragon Wall and start off this Ocean Drake. It is unspotted. No ward coverage in the area, I guess really for either team. Did take a trip through the enemy jungle now. Someday very, very low there. He's going to go for the Twisted Advance, gets that snare down. Here comes Arrow to try to turn things around. Someday very low, but he's healing up so much. That Dark Seal really, really helping that potion work out. He's going to go back in Expression. Finds 1 kill. He actually might find another one onto Arrow. He does have to retreat. Arrow only level 4. Expression walks back into the trap. He got trapped off. He walked into it and wound up dying. An impressive kill onto Someday, ulting backwards, but relatively unimpressive death there.
Honestly, that was KT was absolutely outplaying Longzhu on the rotations there, and Echo getting that level 6 just now was absolutely clutch. However, he ran into the trap, and it ended up being a little bit anticlimactic. That was a pretty bad ending.
Reminds me of watching like Tony Hawk when he was like first attempting the I think it was the 720 at a competition like in X Games, and I think he tried it like 3 or 4 times and he just like failed miserably. But then when he finally stuck it, it actually looked amazing. Well, that's where you like try to do it and look amazing, and it just kind of wind up dropping
That was like
it at the end.
an M. Night Shyamalan film in bot lane just now. I don't know. That was not Signs, by the way. So that was pretty bad. That was quite awful.
Hey man, I really liked I like the Village. The Village is a good movie. Oh, Expression gonna get cocooned there, locked up by Fly as well. Expression forced to flash away, does not have his ultimate available for use, but just barely able to get out thanks to a nice zone from Pure.
Yeah. And now with KT being able to wrap up this red buff, Rek'Sai is gonna get set a little behind. And now the problem is Lucian's going for a recall. He's gonna be denied by Someday. So in terms of rotational play, KT is really on the ball and definitely outspeeding Longzhu right now, which is exactly what they need to do, because we talked about in the very beginning that Echo needs time to scale up, Azir needs time to scale up.
Man, Expression just really getting pressured so far. Had that unfortunate death. Gonna get cocooned, and there's a lot of damage. He will ult to heal himself back up there at the end. The arrow is level 6, but doesn't even need to ult. A nice dive, dropping aggro there at the end. KT grab themselves their second kill.
And KT is putting on a clinic right now all across the map, except for in mid lane. Fly is probably wishing he could fly out of mid lane right about now, but there is a 26 CS differential in that matchup. So huge credit to Coco, because he is the only thing right now keeping his team in this.
Well, that's been true for the majority of Longzhu's games. Coco is the member of Longzhu who has performed the best when it comes to damage dealt stats, KDA, all that kind of stuff. Actually, I think Chaser also has done fairly well, but yeah, mid lane matchup definitely going in his favor, and Fly did have his flashbone earlier, but it is back available. He's gonna have to flash this, actually just dodges it, walks around, does have his flash, but he's not going to use it. It does wind up going out. Pure flashed out of there. I think he's just ditching them. He's like, hey man, you guys are on your own. Chaser now gonna be the next member of Longzhu to fall. Arrow coming up big with the kill.
I really don't know. This game, now we look at the goal difference right now and we only see 1,000, but that is not telling an accurate story right now. Because remember, Longzhu needs time to scale, and so normally you would think that, okay, if a scaling team composition has a little bit less gold, that it means it's okay. But because of how quickly the 1K gold deficit has, occurred, this game feels a lot more loss already for Longzhu than it normally should at this point. And so right now, KT probably feeling really, really confident, and they're really far ahead.
Yeah, and that's what you're seeing there in the replay, just one after another, just getting caught out over and over again. I think the most telling part of that was not the deaths, it was Pure, who went in with the rest of his team and then immediately dipped. He was like, wait a second, this is not a good place, and hit the flash button over the wall. Not going to stick around with the rest of his team. It turned out to be the right decision, but Longzhu having some struggles with those right decisions so far.
Yeah. Now, all that really KT needed to do is they needed to actually play around Varus's blue buff and hand off onto Azir, because right now at this point in time, they want to be preparing for Dragon in the upcoming minute and a half. They have opportunistic timing against Herald if they wanted it, and they want the bot lane to shove back into them. However, the Dragon is an air dragon, so unlucky for them. They're not going to be rewarded for outplaying Longzhu up until this point. So a little unfortunate there. Longzhu just wants to sort of sit back right now and continue to scale up and just make sure that they don't keep losing ground and vision.
Right. Pure going to go for the tether, doesn't latch. Even Cloud Drakes do count towards the number of dragons that you take when you get Elder Dragon. So it still helps to pile those up because it does increase the amount that Elder Dragon bonuses you up.
It does make your Magic Gathering binder look a little bit thicker. you know, when you do get that Elder Drake.
That's like when you ask for change and nothing but $1 bills, so it can make your wallet look even bigger.
Yeah.
I had someone do that to me once. It was like, those are actually all only ones. Like, my wallet's full of Cloud Drakes.
Oh man, that is what they are on the side. That is what they really are. Just
Cloud
$1
Drake,
bills.
The $1 bill.
Yeah.
Of League of Legends.
Yeah. I mean, Riot might try to buff it, but then maybe it's just going to be like a $5 bill. Not a $2 bill. $2 bill pretty rare. You would like to, that's like a herald.
Yeah, $2 bills are actually pretty legit. I had a store clerk refuse to take it because they didn't think it was real. I was like, this is actually like government money. But anyway, yeah, back to the matter at hand. What would you change about Cloud Drake? Just make it give movement speed all the time?
Maybe you could have Cloud Drake give a flat movement speed, and then you could have it gain movement speed when moving, similar to Deadman's Plate, up to maybe 10 more or something. So it's like it's a flat 15 up to 25 when out of combat. Something like that.
You definitely have to play with the numbers, but
right.
Yeah, the fact that it only works well out of combat is a little bit makes it less prioritized, put it that way. So let's talk about this bottom lane. Talk about how Emperor new to Korea, back here again with Longzhu, and fresh off of a very strong season, playing a very strong champion here. But what is it that's going to allow Emperor to carry, or is it even about Emperor? You said it was protect the Azir earlier.
Well, yeah, the focus isn't going to be on Emperor at this point. Coco, again, one of the key focal points for keeping him in this game at this point. We know that he did have the blunder just a few moments ago in mid lane, missing the ultimate. But the real story is going to be about Echo and Azir come in the later stages, and Emperor is just actually going to act as a cleanup in this composition.
Okay, so great champion to do that. Lots of mobility. Hits that 40% CDR cap relatively easily. And like you said, the strongest point for Longzhu has been Coco so far, but when it came down to it, not the greatest ultimate there when they were trying to pick off Fly earlier. Now Coco on the move, looking to rotate here up the top lane. Chaser here as well, trying to get this knock up onto Someday. Actually does get the nice dodge on that. Not going to be knocked up. There's Coco coming in. Who's going to get the kill? It's given to Expression. A nice pick off by Longzhu.
That was some deforestation in top lane just now.
Save the rainforest.
They brought everyone to take down that rainforest, so that'll be going down. I don't like KT's response. I think that they definitely scores a little bit late to act on that rotation that Longzhu just made, which I think was an improper rotation because I don't think the kill onto Maokai actually granted anything. So a little bit lackluster response by KT, and Longzhu ends up getting away with a poor rotational play.
Right. I think the response that you were looking for would have been like Dragon. Something along
You
those
could have
lines.
easily pushed in mid lane tower. You could have secured proper vision control surrounding Chaser's red side jungle, and you could have looked for Dragon, absolutely. And then on top of that, it would have set up for a proper rotation for Arrow to rotate into mid to apply pressure to Coco, synergizing with a blue buff, which would be coming up for KT Fly when Coco would be blueless.
Being blueless. Much like the 20th century after leaving the 90s and no longer being blue.
No longer being blue.
Yeah. All right, well, this is going to be the Rift Herald given over once again to Expression. Man, they're giving kills to Expression, Rift Herald. They're really trying to beef this guy up after, I think he was 0-2 to start the game. He was 2-1, or 1-2, yeah. A lot of focus on him earlier on, but now getting a lot of things going his way. He's working towards some of his mid-game itemization. Someday, even though he's 0-2, just went with straight up tankiness and that Spirit Visage. And now KT pushing up this middle lane. Coco will arrive to clear out this wave, but actually take this turret down in time. Nope.
A little bit late. This is that rotation I was talking about, though, and had it occurred a little bit sooner, they probably would have just raised that tower. And if they had done the rotation that we were talking about, they also probably could have simultaneously denied Herald, which was just taken about a moment ago.
I think the biggest thing to watch out for here for Longzhu is can they break that line of Caitlyn traps and come back in. A nice ult by Fly, but he takes so much damage. Can they continue this push? Lots of great poke from Arrow and Fly. And now is Longzhu's time to try to clear out those traps. No, you don't want to do that when Arrow's right there. Able to get so much damage off of those headsets. Headshots. Headsets are what we're wearing.
I don't really like the terrain positioning by Arrow's traps, to be completely honest. as a former StarCraft player and a Vulture Spider-Mine planter, I feel very saddened by those trap placements. I think that they could have been definitely a little bit better.
Can you imagine if traps were like Maokai saplings, and you bury them, and then when an enemy walks over them,
they
just,
pop and run
yeah, they pop up and run at you?
That'd be very scary.
That'd be so scary. Oh my gosh. You just like walk along and all of a sudden you die. You've got these traps just chasing you everywhere. That is not the way they work, but now we get to see how Dragon works.
KT's score. Oh, and he's getting some help now by Arrow and Hachani, taking Grandma's Christmas present. If you're unfamiliar with that, sometimes you get presents from relatives that you're not so happy with. That sweater that you got on Christmas Day.
Ooh, Cloud Drake. Oh, thanks, Grandma. You got me a Cloud Drake for Christmas. And you're like,
do you like it?
Yeah, that's when you you open up your closet and you just throw it in the bottom of your closet. And you're like, oh, okay.
Oh, little Jimmy, I hope I see it at Easter.
That's like when your grandma goes to GameStop, and they're like, hey, what's a good game for me to get my kids? And they're like, well, this, I don't know, what's an absolutely terrible game that people buy their kids? We've got Star Wars Checkers here. It's the
StarCraft 2?
Okay.
All right.
Well, as far as League of Legends goes, a great game. You should definitely buy your kids because it's free. It's like, hey, Johnny, I got you League of Legends for Christmas. It's like, oh boy, do I get lots of RP or champions? It's like, no, I actually just got you the game.
Well, that's okay too, Grandma. Thanks.
Yeah, exactly. All right, well, Coco gonna get a headshot. Ace in his hole. Miss there on. Wait, what? Okay, I guess the Varus ult didn't miss. It hit through the tunnel, but
right now they need to actually just ignore Emperor and bot lane, though. So getting back into the game, they need to ignore Emperor and bot lane, let that lane shove into the tier 2 tower and lock it. Absolutely terrible decision by Longzhu to devote Lucian to bot lane, to clear up the wave and stuff. That doesn't do anything for them right now. And they don't really have an answer to this barrage. And
Whoa, big moves by Coco. Blocks up Arrow and Hachani. Lots of Sand Soldier damage. There's Expression on the flank. Hachani, the one reason trying to escape this from Expression, Pure Emperor. Now they might actually look to turn on to score. Not looking good for KT. Big moves by by Coco, rather, in the mid lane. And now it's going to be Hachani. The sacrificial lamb, and out of nowhere, 2-0 off of that team fight for Longzhu.
Yeah, and Coco set that up perfectly. And what I was talking about basically not having an answer to the barrage, if Lucian was there a lot sooner, this could have happened a lot sooner, because KT didn't want to be doing what they were just doing. They wanted to back off sooner, but unfortunately Lucian wasn't there, so they actually were enticed to stay on a little bit longer.
Trying to check out this replay, but the big moves in from Kokar was just so impressive. The double knockup.
See the double knockup. Lucian arrives just in the nick of time, and then Expression comes in the from the backside to basically clean that up. And they just try to chase down Braum, and I don't like the chase onto Braum or the chase onto Elise here. I think that pressuring the mid-tier 1 tower, trying to raise that as fast as possible, and then continue an assault onto the tier 2 would be significantly more impactful, because then you could counter.
Pure in a little bit of a rough spot. Pure most likely going down. Will get taken out by Score. Pinched against the wall.
Yeah. And now Pure getting caught out there. This should just be an instant tier 1 tower for KT.
KT will get their mid lane turret. That is their third and final outer turret of the game, being taken down now, pressuring tier 2. Probably won't commit to this. Going to rotate through the jungle. Additional ward
now all
coverage.
that you would really like to see them do is basically just clean up the left side jungle and then make an assault onto top lane. And the reason that you want to do that is because you have a wave in bot lane, and so you want to force Longzhu to basically say, hey, if you want to send someone to go get that, you're going to be weaker on the top end side, and we're also going to clear out your jungle.
Especially there on the turret defense along with Pure, but Arrow just gonna set up his trap wall and make it very difficult to stop this siege. A great sieging composition. You got counter engage from Fly's Chains of Corruption. You got Someday there to twist and advance the engage off of any carry that it goes on to. But man, Coco was the big man in that last fight. Whoa, Expression. Be careful, he is the only guy in the front line for Longzhu right now.
Yeah, and I continue to not like these Caitlyn traps. I think they could definitely be placed a lot better to apply more pressure to Longzhu here.
So how would you place them, LS?
Well, it's kind of hard to show you without like a pen or anything.
No, just point at the screen.
Just point at the screen.
Yeah,
can you guys see it?
Can tell.
All right. I mean, everyone is challenger.
Hey, I learned that yesterday. Yeah, Pure gonna get locked up. There's a nice glacial fissure there by Hachani. Chaser in a very rough position there, but it actually looks like it will be Emperor there to take out someday. Expression going forward, ulting backwards. Chaser walks into a trap and will take a lot of headshot damage, but that fight actually does work out. It's a 1 for 2 in the end, and Coco, he's in the mid lane, pushing it down.
Yeah, and that is a poor macro play by KT. They have to know that even if they get that tower there, they're most likely going to be trading a tower in mid lane. And because of their team composition, the top towers don't do anything for them because of the Maokai component. So it doesn't really make any sense why they're doing this. Now, yes, they do have the Varus poke, but the Varus poke is mostly going to be used in mid and bottom lane.
Take a look at this again through the replay. Pure gets locked up. Chaser in the front line, such a good body block. Winds up just getting focused. Turns out he survives for quite a while.
Yeah, and you can't really make a dive against this. You have the Rek'Sai knockup. Echo basically has 2 lives if you're going to try to make a play like that. And with the Azir being in mid lane, you're really just on a clock there. So again, the rotation doesn't make any sense because it is always going to benefit Longzhu there unless you can somehow pull off a miraculous ace, secure the tower, and then tell Azir to get the hell home so that he's able to defend the tier 3 tower in top. But that's a very dream scenario.
Right, it would have been fairly miraculous. All right, so no Infernal Drakes this game, where the 3 dragons we will be seeing are Ocean, Cloud, and now Mountain Drake. About to spawn in just a few seconds. Longzhu setting up for it. Objective control would be aided. They are able to take that dragon down. Some questionable decisions for both teams. You saw Pure die earlier from just getting pinched against the wall. That fight from KT under turret, not necessarily the greatest. And now Longzhu on strong rotations to take down these outer turrets.
Yeah, and Longzhu now really back in the
Chaser. You don't want to go that way. Steps on a trap, but does not break his mother's back.
Maokai's movement's a little bit suspect here, considering the Echo can actually cut him off. We're going to see if Expression goes to do that. So right now, the rotational play by Longzhu, they're really stepping it up, and now they're the ones outplaying KT.
Never heard this saying? I guess it's a new one. Or an old one. Either way.
Now it looks like they're going to be able to do. They're going to be able to secure Dragon here if they choose to do so. All you really need to do at this point in time is just pull a Azir in, and you can easily get the Dragon. I don't know why Chaser's choosing to recall. So a little bit bizarre. So KT for the past, I'm going to say around 10 minutes, has really been missing the mark on the rotational play, and they've been a little slow, and then at certain points, they were a little too fast, like we saw in top lane where they butchered a dive attempt, which ended up benefiting Longzhu greatly. So some questionable stuff coming out right now from both teams.
We enter the mid-game phase. This is where it's kind of dangerous. That's the word I was looking for. Because it's so easy to either get caught out of position and just lose 2 turrets in your lanes, or have picks give up dragons or barons. It does look like dragon is what's being started here for Longzhu. Let's see if they can take this one down. Does not look like there's a whole lot in the area. KT just gonna give this up, and I feel like out of all of the dragons to give up, Mountain probably one of the better ones.
Right, and see, this is the problem, is Longzhu could have done this a few moments ago, and they chose not to, and now because they chose not to do it at that point in time, KT had the ability to lock up 2 of the lanes and then basically force Longzhu to fight them at a point where Longzhu still doesn't want to fight yet. Echo's still 1 item out from that massive point in the game where he's just going to be absolutely gigantic and extremely difficult to shut down.
Coco will get the blue buff, not stolen away by Chaser. Good guy Chaser, who walks into Hachani and will walk right back out. Of course, there is Arrow there towards the side. Arrow really scary right now, going for his second crit item. What is that usually? What's Caitlyn itemization like these days?
The Caitlyn itemization that we're seeing here, hold that thought.
Okay, they got really excited. I'm like, wait a second, he's got Tunnel, got a whole lot. Hachani walking forward, takes half his health and damage. Is a little bit far ahead of the game, especially considering that Black Cleaver Yomu's combo that really shredded his armor down. Now bottom lane, the super intense fight between Expression.
You can see here that
someday
Expression, even though he has 4 kills and 2 assists, the CS is what tells the difference. So if you're watching and you're not aware, about 14 CS equals a kill. So that CS differential is really coming into play because Someday just has a lot of gold and he's up a core item on Echo right now.
Oh man, killing minions is hard.
Is it? Faker says, there's actually some, I tweeted out a little while ago, there's some wise words from Faker. If the minion's HP is low, if you attack it, it will die.
Hey man, sagacious.
Did you know that?
You
probably didn't.
I thought that was the way that worked, but every time I try to
No,
do
you
it,
didn't.
no, that's not the way it works.
You didn't. See? You see that? That minion's that Golem's HP was low. He hit it, it died.
I think this is the real. I'm surprised CNN did not mention that in their Faker article. One of his great sayings.
Yeah.
After Faker retires, he's just gonna make like memoirs of Faker. It's gonna be like Sun Tzu's The Art of War, like The Art of League.
Yeah.
Actually, I
the
think,
art of e-gamers.
I think Big Fat LP actually wrote a book called The Art of Mid Lane.
We don't talk about that.
Yo man, it's such a good book. Have you
No,
read it?
it's not a
The best science fiction I've ever read.
It's the best science fiction on how to plateau in Diamond and NA. So anyways, getting back into the game though, we're gonna talk about right now. Basically, the problem that KT's having is they can't really find a way to force Longzhu to fight them, and so Longzhu is gonna continue doing what they want to do, scaling up that Azir, scaling up that Echo. And the only person that's really going to be doing any sort of scaling relative to the team comps right now is going to be Fly. Yes, Maokai is going to be absolutely enormous. He's going to be really tanky, but that's not really going to matter too much, well, compared to the arrows that Fly is going to be shooting out in the team fights, because that is going to be KT's only hope at getting a victory.
Shawnee, I was going to say caught, but there's not a lot of damage there to actually kill him. He's pretty tanky right now. He's being a pretty tanky. Bottom lane is... This is the fight that never ends. Expression and Someday in a little bit of an interesting altercation. I don't think Someday actually loses this. So it turns out being able to resist damage is definitely more valuable than being able to deal it. And this is Expression with a Rip Terror buff, and actually Someday, he's going to pop his ult here. Expression ulting back for the heal. I think he's actually just going to try to run away from this, but I'm not sure if Someday really can close this out. Can he? Yes, no, maybe. Expression actually just going to run away, and there's... Wait, was that... no, it was not. I thought I saw like an ace in the hole. I was like, he's on the other side of the map, but...
like a
really,
25-second skirmish.
Yeah.
And they say tanks deal damage.
Well, I mean, if you look at it, Someday, look at all those damaging items that he's picked up. He's got like a halfway damage item, or two half. He's got Sunfire Capes, kind of deals damage, especially in those long extended trades, so... Good job there by Someday, and I really don't think Expression's going to be able to fight him for a while.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I think Maokai is just too tanky for Echo to take down on his own, but that's okay because that's not his goal.
Up to? He's kind of walking into 3 champions, and now with Expression coming around the side, TPing in, but not actually making anything happen off of it. Emperor's Divide just the zone off, as long as you do not want to take this fight.
Yeah, and now the problem is once Longzhu gets clumped up like this, and once they're forced into a runway setting, this is exactly what Fly wants. He just wants a straight shot for his arrows, sort of like a plane during takeoff.
It's a shame Jin Air's not playing.
Oh, that would be sad plane.
It would be. There would be sad planes. I recently learned about Rage Plane yesterday. When you get really, really angry, knock up there onto Expression is going to be forced to ultimate immediately. Chani loses half his HP. So relatively even trade, but pushing up the mid lane now. This is Zero Turret at half health. Someday looking to zone, but not want to overextend. Zero Turret continues to hold KT. On the pressure.
Now the problem is you look at top lane, so KT's top lane is shoving back into Longzhu. You saw the ping by Longzhu come down there. What are you doing, Rek'Sai? Rek'Sai, you don't want to take that farm.
I mean, Rek'Sai,
what are you doing?
Rek'Sai can't ult back in, but his ult's actually on her ult's actually on cooldown right now, so won't be able to get that Void Assault.
Well, it doesn't make any sense. I mean, what Chaser's doing here, it makes absolutely zero sense. Bottom lane is now shoving into KT. Dragon is coming up in about 20 seconds. That means if KT secures the Dragon, they can initiate a freeze in bot lane, and then what do you do if you're Longzhu? You can't do anything because you just handed them 2 lanes and potentially the Dragon. Absolutely inexcusable blunder.
Right, and you can see Someday. He's back up there. He's like, hey man, thanks
what
for the
is
free
he
way
doing?
of the CS. Chaser is still here. Oh, Someday though, he's gonna walk into 3 champions. Look at all that Azir damage. Coco is actually incredible right now, and he's actually going to walk all the way forward. Swoop to whoop on in there. Coco's going to fire his Sand Soldiers there, and Shreema shuffle his way to another kill.
And it looks like they're going for a Baron attempt, and...
Oh, Hachani walks forward, and Emperor is busting him. He's got so much damage there, the culling coming out, and even through exhaust, Emperor there to pick up a kill. Longzhu told us to trust them, and maybe we should. With a great fight, Pure closes it out, a 10-6 score, and a Baron buff for Longzhu.
They don't need Azir for this. Azir should just be in mid lane, getting ready for that wave and preventing Varus from attacking the minions. Because sometimes what you want to do is, if you can't attack Baron, if you can't attack the enemy team, you need to indirectly attack Baron, and you can do that by killing the minions.
Well, they just did both of those. They killed the minions and got Baron and got a really good team fight. Emperor's damage starting to get a little bit ridiculous. He was able to kill Hachani through exhaust, and granted it's just a support, but now double Mountain Drakes. Could be, was that 30% additional damage?
Longzhu channeling their inner Hearthstone, getting the two most important dragons relative to how the game is going. And right now KT is sulking that they're the ones that had to have air dragons, so...
Hey man, they got that Ocean Drake too, regenerating lots of health. That Longzhu will then take away from them with an incredibly strong lineup. I mean, just take a look at some of these. So we talked about the some of the CS, I was about to say CS scores, slightly redundant. So Sunday way ahead of Expression, I think about to Flame Horizon in there. Mid lane, there's a pretty significant difference there, like 40, 50 CS sometimes. And you can really tell Coco is, I want to see the damage stats after this game, because Coco has to be some insanely high percentage of that. He's had these crazy Shreema shuffles that have been really carrying things out there. You can see that pop-up Baron timer right on top of Longzhu, letting us know that it'll be up in about a minute and a half.
The colors are a little off on my monitor. I can't tell, is that Lord Dominic's or is that Mortal Reminder?
As Lord Dominic's Regard in the mid lane for KT Fly is Varus, but we do have a Mortal Reminder from Emperor.
All right.
And possibly one from Arrow as well. Still waiting to see whether or not that comes out.
So, right now, Longzhu actually doing everything right. Azir being in mid lane, they're executing a 0-1-4. And then we should just actually see Azir unite with them.
Interesting to see how KT plays on the back foot here. Longzhu, they were in this position earlier last week in their series versus the Afrika Freaks, but just weren't able to close things out. See if they have upgraded, taking that mid lane turret, Fly's ult coming out, the Chains of Corruption, locking down Coco, is going to get to the back of his team as the wall is formed. Emperor up there putting out the damage, forcing Someday to back away. Nice headshots coming in, but look at that damage expression. Emperor both going forward, score very low, he's going to have to get out of there. Achani starts to take some damage. This is impressive.
Emperor's Lucian mechanics are very on point.
Is there a cooldown on that Relentless Pursuit? I haven't checked, but it's not very high.
Well, the problem is Lucian, I'm not quite sure exactly what runes he's running, but he could be at 40% CDR right now, so...
Definitely check out next time they hover him. But yeah, Emperor is starting to put on a little bit of a show. He was like diving under that bottom second tier turret, going very aggressive, tanking it just to put out culling
and
damage.
The Baron. He was the reason that Braum got deleted and removed from the Baron, and why Score had to try to go in on it.
Try to keep an eye on that. Does not show cooldown reduction, unfortunately.
So, the only problem that I had with that mid lane push is Echo should have stayed in bottom because of the teleport. I don't think it would have changed too much.
Oh man, maybe a little bit of a catch here. Emperor was forced to QSS. He's going to be culling backwards. Look at all that damage on Sunday. Emperor, though, is caught up there. Going to get sniped away there, but it's actually now got to pick up the kill. Here comes Coco, though, and he's going to find one kill. Looking for more as Expression up in the front line. Chaser going to tunnel under. Can they knock him? Achani? They do. Coco flashing over the wall. He's going to get exhausted, so not dealing a whole lot of damage. Score barely able to survive towards the fight, towards the back, but it's not going to be Achani surviving for long. Longzhu going forward, a nice Guardian Angel proc there, Arrow, Score, Fly, all very low. Expression looking to maybe go back in, but Longzhu pushing the abort button, and they will get out of there with a 2-for-2 exchange.
Was an even fight, however, they are going to pick up the top lane tower off of that, or they should be able to without any sort of resistance. Those two Mountain Drakes really coming into play. Watch how fast they raise this tower, and they do have quite a hefty amount of minions.
Like, what, three minion waves there, something along those lines. And,
the only thing I didn't like, though, and maybe we're gonna get a replay of it, was Coco did not need to go as ham as he went.
He flashed over the wall and then immediately got exhausted.
And he was a little too Coco for Coco Puffs, and that team fight just now, so a little unlucky there. But seems like right now, everything is actually going right for Longzhu. So, Longzhu, not the greatest of starts to this game, with the exception of Expression Hold On. We're going to go into a replay here. Lucian gets caught out. Captain Jack, a little sad about that cleanse timing. However, it doesn't matter. Karma here. Varus is going to get the snipe onto Emperor, but that's not going to matter because Expression comes in with the teleport. And at this point, when Echo can get into your backline, it's not a very good feeling. And as we can see here, Azir didn't need to actually come over the wall. Yes, he got exhausted, but the end fight would have been extremely similar. Even if they don't end up getting any more kills or applying too much more damage,
Red
KT
buff
still
was
needs to back up.
stolen away there. I believe it was, no, Arrow actually did get it. Chasers gonna pop a few of those traps. Arrow coming back around. He got that red buff and he wants to put it to use. But wow, so a lot of flashes down there, but Emperor, oddly enough, even after getting kind of caught out there, does have both of his summoners available for this upcoming fight, which will be Elder Dragon in a minute and a half, or a minute, Baron up in a minute and a half, so a lot of action about to transpire here on Summoner's Rift. Very few flash spells for carries, though. I mentioned Emperor, but no other mid lane or AD carry actually has theirs available.
Yep, and Guardian Angel will not be up for Baron or Elder Dragon, so Echo is almost itemless in a sense, except for the stats that GA gives. And all that you really need to do right now, though, is Echo without teleport. All you need to do is basically play around the fact that Echo doesn't have teleport and just keep him bottom side and then put the priority on Elder Dragon and just sort of make sure that no team can really take it until Baron's up, and then stall as long as possible. There's no rush to getting either one of those main neutral objectives. And the onus is on KD to really do something because Longzhu just keeps getting stronger right now.
Holy cow. That's how you kill a blue buff. Coco murders it, takes it for his own, and Coco and Emperor, both with blues, coming into this next fight. Who's going to overextend in the mid lane? Nice spider to come out just to scout things out. By Corbin. Oh no, the engage onto Someday. He is going to be absolutely destroyed. Looks like that Darshan now kind of just absolutely explodes. Emperor force flash over the wall, does QSS as well, but he's going to get Sand Soldier to death. Coco there to pick up the kill. More damage coming in, and an incredible fight for Longzhu. It's a triple kill. Might even be looking for more. A quadra kill for Coco to crush that fight. Score is not in the area, so no pentas for you, Coco, but Longzhu with a late game team fight win like that, they're looking to close.
They are Coco for Coco Puffs, man, right now. And you know what else Coco's not going to get? He's not going to get his ear next game. That's for sure. KT probably going to be banning that. I wouldn't be surprised if that's the first ban instantly by KT at the start of the next set.
Minion wave coming in, and Coco, he's looking for that unofficial penta. Not going to get the kill, but they will kill the Nexus. And that'll be a game 1 win for Longzhu.
Evened the score at the end there. Hey.
It was definitely uneven.
No.
When you look at that mid lane matchup, Coco, absolutely impressive, dominated his mid lane, and then turned that into advantages for his team at every single opportunity.
Right. And Longzhu, a little bit rough of a start. However, Coco kept the difference in mid being absolutely gigantic. A little bit lackluster rotations by Longzhu early on. KT really showing dominance for the first early half of the game. But then Longzhu starting to pull it together, and KT really just starting to lose the game for themselves, and Longzhu capitalized on that. And Coco just, I don't even know what to say. Yeah, Coco was absolutely gigantic.
Coco, when we come back from our break, don't go anywhere. Game 2 between Longzhu and KT Rolster will be coming up next. Thanks for watching. Be right back.
던지는 체인지업을 그대로 받아쳐가지고 감전 밖으로 확 넘겨버렸잖아.
아, 언제요?
어제 레전드 야구선에서.
전설은 계속된다. 스크린 야구의 레전드 야구전 더맨원.
자꾸 먹고 싶어.
맛있어 죽게 만들 셈이야. 하바네로와 청양고추가 더해진 매운맛의 몬스터 BHC 맵스터. 매운맛 좀 보시지 말입니다.
난 요새 수염 있는 남자가 멋있더라.
안녕.
기타 잘 치는 남자 멋있더라. 어깨 넓은 남자가 멋있더라. 근데 난 얼굴 작은 남자가 제일 좋더라.
난 오늘 나에게 바카스를 사줬습니다. 남자는 자신감을 지. 나를 아끼자. 바카스.
차 살 때는 꼼꼼하게 따지시죠? 자동차 보험이야말로 서비스를 꼼꼼히 따져야죠. 동부화재 다이렉트. 든든한 서비스가 24시간 365일. 차보다 사람이 먼저니까. 접속하라! 동부화재 다이렉트.
배우 박소연이에요. 좌우로정렬 2588 대리운전 2588 박소연. 좌우가 똑같아요 2588 좌우로정렬 2588
아시아의 핫한 대세. 아시아 핫한 셋이 모이니까 완전 끝내준다. 셋이요? 핫데블 치킨 완전 핫하잖아.
아시아 핫3가 페리카나에 모였다. 페리카나 핫데블 치킨.
자동차 보험 어디 거 들어야 돼요?
아, 어디 까들어!
사전이 알려줄게.
다이렉트에도 품질이 있어요.
삼성화재 다이렉트 홈페이지에서 배용.
잘 봐, 네 안에 뜨겁게 불타는 열정. 볼케이노 핫하지, 뮤직이네 핫하지. 국내 볼케이노. 탱크하게 국내 볼케이노. 들어가면서 자 커넥트로 한번 넣어줍니다. 그다음
자 이게 한 번씩 잡히다 보면 말릴 수밖에 없죠.
자 완전 갈렸죠.
뿌리
네.
버티면 그만한 데미지를 내줘야 되고 어느새
네.
두 번째 라운드 턴 본인의
와, 이거
동영상을 찍고 있는 사람으로
네.
밀어붙여봤습니다. 열선파를 위기타게 하지만
네.
이런 자식이는 아직도 유효합니다.
자 이거는 선제권이 워낙 많기
이게
때문에
바로 중거리.
와 벤더.
이게 바로
자
중거리.
이거는
그리고
대장 나오라는 거죠.
나오라고 외치는 중파. 그리고 썬더클 다시 한번 잡는
어?
중파의 용역. 다시 한번 거리 벌리고 용맹한 결기.
자 메카니로 한 대만 맞추면 돼요.
자,
이거 안 되나요?
시에가 있는데 체력은 없고
아, 영골킬.
존펄이 여기서 영골킬.
처음 챔피언십을 만났을 땐 지혜가 있었죠. 그 다음엔 여러 명이 거쳐갔지만 이 자리를 지킨다는 건 아마도 거부할 수 없는 나만의 매력? 피파 고모가 되기까지 쉽지 않았어요. 끝없는 자기 관리가 중요하죠. 피파 온라인 3 챔피언십 놓치지 않을 거예요. EA 스포츠 피파 온라인 3 아디다스 챔피언십 2016이에요.
Watching the crystals turn to ice, mercury slowly falling, lost underneath the stormy sky.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Coca-Cola Zero League of Legends Champions Korea Summer 2016. Trust us, that's what Longzhu said, and you trust, your faith has been rewarded. Game 1 win for Longzhu after an incredible performance. Coco got, Cuckoo for Coco Puffs. Look at the damage, though, very similar between both mid laners. But Coco, it was all about when he put that damage down. His Azir insects, whatever you want to call them, Shurima shuffles, they were on
Azir
point.
sack.
Hey, there you go.
There you go.
Best of both worlds.
But Varus, though, still topping the damage chart. That's actually really impressive. This is a mid laner that we're just checking out some replays here, and these are all like the kill highlights.
Yeah, Coco made the epic play there. It was not so epic, but still got the kill. That's where Pure flashes back over the wall and just pieced the scene and let the rest of his team.
That was where Coco tried to convert that guy to his religion, and
it didn't
he was
work
like,
out.
actually, I'm an atheist.
Well, that one did work out when he went in with that nice two-man Shurima shuffle.
Yeah.
Got it there and continues to go forward and find these big picks that really just got Longzhu ahead. Game theory, KT favored early on, but Longzhu just hung in there.
Yeah, and basically, I mean, the story of last game, I mean, Coco went Coco for Coco Puffs, and that Azir is going to be banned out. Coco getting the MVP, absolutely deserved. And
69% kill for participation, second highest damage in the game, and best score by far. An incredible performance there. Coco, not only just doing well individually, it always looks good when you have big stats for MVPs, but helping out the rest of his team.
Oh, he kept them in it early on. Yeah, absolutely. So Coco really holding it together for his team. Expression, I know that he looked like stuff wasn't going his way. He almost got Flame Horizoned, or maybe he did get Flame Horizoned, but truthfully, mechanically, he got the first solo kill early on, and then he messed up hitting the Caitlyn trap. His mechanics were on point, and he did a lot of work for his team last game. So I don't care about his CS. I don't care how his KDA might have looked at certain points. That guy was actually a monster last game.
Right, and for teams, we've seen be very careful, very thoughtful, methodical. To go for that, hey, I just hit level 6, I can turn this around 2v1. It takes a lot of guts, because if you mess it up, then it's on you.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
He went back in, got the kill. Unfortunately, did step on the trap there early on. But either way, a great performance by Longzhu. Emperor also looked very, very good.
Emperor's Lucian was really impressive. Now, I'm curious to see if KT is going to take that away from him, or if they're just going to ban it. Because his Lucian, honestly, when you watch AD carry players, sometimes all of them look very similar, and so it's really hard to determine, what separates who. And honestly, the way that he would move forward with Lucian and demand attention and then still somehow get away from stuff was honestly really impressive, because he was almost acting as an initiator on Lucian in some cases, and that's just not something that you commonly see.
Right, it's much more common to see AD carriers that act as initiators not last very long. Wild Turtle comes to mind, kind of the memes there, always kind of jumping in, but that's what Emperor did. And sometimes he did go down there, sometimes I think a couple times there towards the end, but he was always drawing a lot of pressure, and most of the time, even if he did die, he's still dishing out a lot of damage.
Right, and so little, unfortunate for KT there. I felt like they had a really strong early game, and I know that I was mentioning when the gold was only 1k apart that KT was actually really far ahead, and they were. But as the game kept progressing, KT made a lot worse macro decisions than Longzhu, and it just kept piling up, and snowballing for Longzhu.
Right, and if you guys caught the gold graph earlier, you can see KT ahead for the majority of the game, and then this huge spike at the end, where Longzhu won that last team fight thanks in part a lot to Coco's Azir. So definitely not going to get that. He did get a quadra kill. I think that's a pretty good way to secure yourself the MVP.
Yeah.
Almost a penta. Interesting though, I think the only player tonight that has a penta is, I think Someday got one on Riven last year. Trying to think of other players who have pentas. I just remember that very notably, because I mean, you're playing Riven top lane. Remember when that used to be? Remember when top lane was like all about aggressive carry
Oh, you
champion?
mean players that are here tonight?
Right.
Oh, okay.
He's the only player that's ever gotten.
I don't think that stat's right.
Oh, it's tonight.
All right.
There might be others, but if there are, you guys can tweet at us, let us know. Let's go ahead and get into game number 2. See, starting up on your screen, KT on the left-hand side in the blue, Longzhu on the right in the red. Starting off, picks and bans. What's it going to be? It looks like Kindred being hovered over for the ban. Just kidding, you can't hover over bans. But it is taken out. That's the first one to go. A lot of jungle pressure here with now a Nidalee getting banned out.
And so the Nidalee being banned by Longzhu. And bans like this are always interesting because I think it speaks to just something that they don't want to have to worry about. And there's that Lucian ban coming out of KT. And I did mention how Emperor's Lucian did seem to stand out from other Lucians that we've seen so far in LCK Summer.
Interesting to see KT actually being the ones to ban that Lucian out. So they obviously won't be prioritizing that in the first round, but Rise ban, no surprise there. The Azir, though, is the big pick to watch for here. Is Coco going to get it again, or will KT first pick it away, possibly?
Yeah, and Rise ban coming out, so no Rise for Someday.
I think it's going to be no Rise for just about anyone.
And Fiora, that's a very bizarre ban.
They must
and
be
the Sivir against Arrow again.
Trying to enable Someday to be able to play tanks that Fiora would otherwise do very well against. There's a Sivir ban, so Azir is still on the table. Will KT take that one away after such a good game from Coco? No. Gonna go back with arrows, Caitlyn.
Okay, well, back to Caitlyn, and I wouldn't be surprised if they just do it up again for Rek'Sai Azir, but instead, they're gonna give Expression his Echo for the, I want to say, 5th time now.
He has played, he used 3 times before this, and so...
Right, so this is gonna be his 5th game on Echo, so he's really in love with Shattering Time.
I can just see, Lust Boy, Expression goes up to him and is like, please, sir, I'd like to play other champions. Like, no, you will play the Echo.
Yep.
And that's kind of how it works. But this time, Azir will probably get taken away from Coco. Wouldn't be very surprised about that at all. Score, oddly familiar to see so many picks from game number 1. That I guess they worked for Someday early on, just not as the game drew on. So kind of take this Azir away from Coco, maybe the recipe for success.
And one thing that I think is questionable is I'm not so sure that the Rek'Sai needed to be picked as early as it was. I think that if they did want to take Azir, they could have. And
well, how do you balance that out against not showing your hand too early and just getting solid picks and saving your best for last, or just taking those power picks? Because that's the Bard lock-in for Pure.
Yeah, and that is a Victor lock-in for Coco, so we're going to see Coco's Victor. Now, this is a very, very standard matchup, and if we went back in time about a year, that was the only matchup that was occurring almost in every region, Victor versus Azir. So if there's someone that hates Shurima, it's certainly Victor and his glorious evolution. So
used to be like Orianna Ahri all the time.
Yeah, Orianna Ahri, Orianna Karthus.
Yep. Oh, man. I remember when Karthus was a champion.
You know what was the favorite, the most entertaining was Lulu, Orianna, and what was it? Lulu, Orianna, Nidalee, mid lane. That was fun.
Oh boy.
Yeah, did you enjoy that, the utility?
The utilitying. So. Why can't I hold all this utility? Well, speaking of utility, it's going to come in here for KT. They've already locked in most of their damage, so now it's time to get the tanks going on, and it's going to be Hachani back on that Braum. No real surprises there. Even, I think they did ban out Trundle in Game 1, but not banned out this time around. He's still sticking with the Braum there. Not too many big surprises. I'd love to see another Terran game. Had an MVP performance on that. And now it's actually going to be someday back on that Maokai, so expect lots of super exciting top lane action. Yep. Once again, last pick coming in here for Longzhu. Going to be the AD carry. Locks in.
Jhin.
Jhin. I haven't seen Jhin in quite a while. I guess there hasn't been a while for it to be picked, but this is, I believe, the second Jhin performance in LCK this season. Yeah. Played once week 1 and now back here for Emperor. A very, very different style from Lucian.
Jhin is gonna Abraham Lincoln Azir in mid lane. That's what's gonna happen. Azir's gonna try to. This is a protect the Azir comp coming out of KT, and Jhin is not gonna have any part of that when he puts on the curtain call.
Emperor Wilkes Booth.
Yeah. Emperor Wilkes Booth. So, anyways, the team compositions, as you can see again, as I just mentioned, it is a Protect the Azir comp coming out of KT, and one of the most cookie-cutter Protect Azir comps. Nothing really too flashy. Caitlyn just going to round out with the extremely long range and her ability to clean up fights as they go on extended. Maokai and Elise do offer that thing that we talked about, where if you go into a brush, you can just get deleted, and certainly Braum is going to definitely assist in helping that out. Jhin and Bard versus Caitlyn Braum is not a matchup I'm too knowledgeable about, although I can't see it being too bad, but I wouldn't be surprised if they just go for very standard lanes. Although if a line swap does occur and towers get raised quickly, that is going to benefit Bard a lot more than it's going to benefit Braum.
All right, we'll see how the lanes get swapped around there as we get into game number 2. You can see our starting lineups exactly the same as they were in game number 1. But man, it cannot wait. This could be a 2-0 for Longzhu. They told us to trust us. We'll see if we can. Game number 2 is starting right now. A lot more Longzhu fans after that game number 1. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Game 2. KT versus Longzhu, who are up 1 game, swapping sides on Summoner's Rift and swapping kind of fortunes as they came into this series. An incredible performance by Coco. Not going to get that Azir again. We'll see how the lanes work out. And just like we did in game 1, what are the win conditions for both these teams, LS?
So the win conditions that's going to be coming out from Longzhu is not going to be too different than we saw last game. They want Victor to scale up, they want Echo to scale up, except now they also have a scaling 80 carry inside of Jhin. win. So scaling all around for Longzhu. KT, however, their main scaling is going to come inside of Azir and Maokai. So these are both late-game centered teams. However, the one team that does have the ability to have a very strong wake-up in the mid-game is going to be Longzhu, because that Echo only really needs one item before he can really start going off. Similarly to Victor and additionally Jhin.
Interesting to see Expression's Keystone Mastery is actually going for Fervor of Battle, which is kind of interesting. So no Grasp of the Undying for that top lane Echo. Going with Fervor, what's up with that?
Well, the Fervor is because it's physical damage. So in extended trades like we were seeing last game, we saw that Expression couldn't really kill Someday at any point. We saw the duels occurring, and yes, he was behind half a core item, but this time around, with all of that AD damage that's going to be coming out from Fervor, maybe he's thinking that he'll actually be able to penetrate.
I think he took Fervor in game 1 as well.
Did he?
Yeah.
Well then, I'm not totally sure. Then the damage is even more bizarre.
Someday forced to flash, and he's still going to get locked down. Can't go for the kill under turret, but still very questionable forward-facing positioning. Chani, he's going to get the red buff! Oh my god, and Chani steals it! He actually might find a kill there. I think he's actually going to wind up dying, though, so... all right, Hachani, you made the big play, but he's actually going to wind up going down, so Chaser gets the red buff in the end.
But, you know...
Okay, here we go, Pure, it's your time. Flash in and steal the Raptor and die.
Pure saying that he's helping too.
Okay. Such an interesting play, especially now coming in towards the mid lane. Actually does go in on to fly for a little bit of damage, but interesting roam here as he ditches the top lane and heads down bottom.
Yeah, and now...
Coco going forward. There's Thunderlord's procs for both mid laners. Oh, okay, a little scary.
Yeah, and unlike the Varus matchup, the mana benefits both parties tremendously in this one, so there's no such thing as attacking the mana right now in mid lane.
Some interesting stats there on your screen right now. Fly kind of Coco's kryptonite. As you can see, his average performance much better than as opposed to when he faces Fly. So interesting to see the relationship there. I certainly didn't have any problems in game 1 with it.
Yeah, and that was an impressive Victor Laser, managing to scathe the very edge of Fly's hitbox. And looks like now, see, the Mountain Drake is the first dragon, and we know that Rek'Sai is going to be relatively healthy, at least coming in for a gank now, but this gank is never going to work.
Is he going to commit for the flash cocoon? Nope.
No, that gank is never, ever going to work. You have to pay attention to your mid laner's mana cost, and now, because you went for that gank and that rotation was basically not very valuable at all to your team, you're going to get beat out now in the big rotation, which should contain Dragon at this point because they easily have enough time to capitalize on it.
Well, off of that roam from top lane to mid lane to bottom lane, it's actually going to be Expression to take down that side lane turret. Same situation top lane for Someday, but it is Longzhu who are starting off this Mountain Drake. A decent Drake to take early on, and they will have no problems taking that away. No real contest from KT.
And they're telling Jhin that he is not necessary for this. And so this is something that, okay, we're now in the second week of LCK.
Jason's actually taking a lot of damage from this. Okay,
that's fine, he's recalling anyway.
Yeah, he will. I was a little bit worried if Pure just couldn't deal enough damage, but he did have Smite there at the end. Takes the dragon, #1 for Longzhu.
So what I was talking about is it's bizarre how we have now seen so many games played, so many sets, and yet still, these professional teams with stabs are not making use of proper rotations or truly understanding why are they doing these rotations and at what timings do they become incorrect and when do you need to pull back. So it's just, I can't understand it. I don't know why we are 5 minutes into the game and there's already been one of the largest macro decision blunders that can occur in the early stages of League happening for KT here.
So what is the consequence of that decision by KT?
Well, you come out basically entirely even, except you're facing a scaling composition, and now you're enabling their top laner, who is one of the core components to the scaling composition for Longzhu, to basically have a locked lane where he's going to go completely unscathed. There's no neutral objective on the right-hand side of the map, so you have no benefit from aiding your bot lane. And now, Jhin, another scaling AD carry, benefits from just getting shoved under, so what do you do if you're KT? Why did you take that rotation? You just hit yourselves in 3 angles at once. It's just not acceptable.
All right, well, Hachani is going to be joining score for what looks to be an invade for some deep ward coverage on the bottom half of the map. They will get scouted out by that Wolf Spirit that follows them around. No Gromp available, so no steals there, but Chaser will actually be looking for a more aggressive roam up towards the top half of the map. He too is looking for a Gromp. The Gromps are extinct right now. We didn't, enable Save the Gromp campaigns, so we'll see if they respawn in time.
All right.
Not a whole lot going on here. I mean, it is only 6.5 minutes. But you can tell there's lots of pings onto the top half of the map by KT, letting Someday know, hey, Chaser's up there. You may want to get out of there. Chaser trying to zone Someday off of this turret. They're actually going in for this dive. Someday's trying to deal as much damage as he can. Chaser actually tanked up that lot of turret shots being tanked. Was that a dive? Did that count?
That I don't think that counts. Someday has flash, so they're never actually going to secure a kill there. Ever. I
don't really know what the plan was there. They both walked underneath the turret, took some turret shots, and I think Someday lost like 20% of his health. So
yeah, it doesn't really make too much sense. The one thing that is gained from it, though, is the entire wave did go into the tower, so Maokai without the ability to manipulate the wave, and now that also is going to be beneficial for Expression in the end. But we're not going to see the fruits of that labor occur for about another minute or so, but be looking for that around 8:30.
Ace in the hole and headshot both onto Emperor. He's down to half HP. Some great Caitlyn pressure by Arrow. He had the same performance in game number 1. So nothing too crazy. I think the craziest things
they should just take Gromp right here. Don't know what they're doing.
Well, I mean, Gromp is
yes, the experience was changed, but the benefit from taking Gromp at that point in time would be greater than
top lane. We got a flash force out there. Someday we'll make it back to his turret in time. Ult in the mid lane, used there by Coco.
Yeah, and this is something that we've been seeing Korean Victor players do very often. Is they just randomly...
Oh, bottom lane. There's the flash. There's the red buff proc slowing Emperor down. The double binding from pure insanity. And now looking to turn things back around just a little bit. Here comes the teleport on in. Expression comes in, but he actually ults back to top lane.
Oh my god.
Expression is out of there.
Wow, they just put on a show in bot lane, and that was gonna, the curtain call would wrap it up for Jin. That was one of the most impressive plays I think I've ever laid witness to. They got the teleport out of Someday. They have teleport advantage. They took CS away from Someday. They took XP away from Someday. They took XP away from Arrow, Hachani, Score, forcing the, well, direct XP because now they're forced to share everything. That was just one of the most beautiful plays.
The Echo ult back to top lane. Ouch. You think that's something? Oh man, Score actually going to get bound up in a really rough spot. He will repel to avoid a lot of this damage there. Turret is aggroed onto John. There's the flash in from Emperor, and he's going to go deep for the kill. A big 3-man knockback. The Shurima shuffles in. Fly actually will die to the turret from taking it, but Arrow will follow up with a double kill.
Yeah, and, Victor not really doing anything there. A little late to the roam. They pinged the tower, but nothing's happening, and it didn't look like he had enough mana, and he didn't have the augment, I think, until just now in order to... maybe I saw that a little bit late. Let's check out the replay. So they get the knock up onto Score, but there was a little bit of hesitation and going for the kill there, so a little bit of delay in DPS.
That flash in from Emperor, that was pretty nuts, but that wall, oh my god.
And we see here that Pure wasting a little bit of time. This is time that easily could have actually been autoing Hachani. I don't know if he would get the kill on him there.
Hachani did level there at the end.
He did, right, but that would have been approximately 3 more auto attacks. And if he does get the meeps, then I think Hachani does die. But he just wasn't sure if Azir was going to maintain tower aggro.
Well, yeah, Fly did maintain tower aggro and wound up going down there at the end. So a little bit unfortunate tanking there, and Chaser back up to the top lane for more aggressive pressure on a Someday. But
yeah, and
hey man, there's a Wolf Spirit right there, so not as much of a mystery as Chaser would have liked.
Right, and basically my only problem with this is, yes, there's a 2-level advantage. Now, they do have a gigantic minion wave, so they could just threaten taking the tower and tell Maokai, hey, this XP difference is about to get a lot bigger. So the story in top lane, nothing like what it was in game 1, which was Maokai having an absolutely gigantic CS lead, but now the tides have turned, and Echo is the one with almost 800 gold lead over Maokai. However, that rotation in top lane, this is what I was saying, why I didn't like it. Ends up, oh, will Jin, never mind.
A lot of damage coming down here. There is the Chaos Storm. Johnny tanks up a lot. No stun there, but there it comes from Emperor. And here we go. Oh, flashed over the wall there. Coco wants to go in for this, but he might have gone too far. Of course, the disengage score actually the one that's very low. Pure binds him up against the wall. Chaser will take the kill.
They immediately need to just cut out Caitlyn and crew from being able to make their way to mid lane through Wraiths and just shove down this tier 1 tower right now. See Caitlyn, she's coming in from Wraiths right now. She should not be able to do this if simply just Bard was there with Magical Journey to eventually then make his way to mid lane. By doing that, they could have simultaneously taken tier 1 mid and gotten Herald, but because of that, they're not going to get tier 1 mid tower, and that is going to stay alive for Azir to get back and enable him to protect it even longer. So again, mishaps happening, but not the end of the world. But like I was saying, that rotation in top lane comes with a cost, and it was losing the Inferno Drake, and that is exactly why I did not like it.
So Inferno Drake, that's going to be the long-term benefit. Another long-term benefit is the Rift Herald, once again given to Expression for the second game in a row. I think it's the third game in a row, because I believe he got it even in the last game that they played versus Jin Air, even though it was a rough game. And to be fair, we talked about that earlier, how this was going to be a little bit of an uphill battle for Longzhu to win it out in game 1, and they're certainly looking very solid. Definitely not like the series that they played last week versus Jin Air.
Yeah, no, they definitely look really solid, and like I was saying, on paper they look like they're very strong. And mechanically last game, in the team fights, mid-game, end-game, they looked extremely powerful. And KT looked like the ones that could not contend with them. But this game, right now, the gold score is favoring Longzhu, which means that KT is actually even further behind than they would like to be, which is a little bit bizarre given that you are an Azir comp. So normally you would think that if you're behind, it's okay, but honestly, because of the scaling coming out of the Jin, Victor, and Echo, it's not.
Fly gets locked down. There's the flash. The knockup is on to Fly. He is able to get out of there. Oh, but he's going to get tempered fated. He is still taking a lot of damage, but he should be able to escape. But another binding by Pure. Putting on a clinic. Aera's going to die to ignite damage, and Pure is able to get the kill. Another flash. A double binding. How does it work? What does it mean? It's too much to handle, and more kills coming in for Longzhu.
There was nothing pure about what he just did to KT.
Oh, that's just disgusting. We need a Victor or a Varus in here so we can have chains of corruption, because that's definitely what just happened. Pure just corrupted everything in his path there. Incredible Bard performance, and he just barely caught Fly with both the Tempered Fate initially and then the binding there at the end. I gotta talk to Riot's like.
There we go. Here comes the replay. Fly, why are you this far up? He just gets completely caught out. Jin putting on the curtain call, and the reason that he does this is he's too far out of position, so he just wants to help his team in any way possible. This is very similar to Caitlyn ulting pre-team fight or something, just to get that damage out there. Pure, as we said,
it goes sideways.
Not so sure about that hitbox. It reminds me of Morgana right there.
90 degrees. I don't know, man. Pure's got the Bard hacks going in. He is, wow. Incredible performance there. So Longzhu definitely in the driver's seat at this point. 6-2, making these aggressive plays happen and really punishing KT for being the ones who are out of position. Are we going to see like a role reversal where this time Longzhu's the one who's ahead early and then KT just holds on and brings it back in the late game?
No, I don't think so. I mean, they do have 2 kills on Bard, which it's not, the worst thing in the world, but definitely you would have liked to have that on more of the carries. But with the way that Longzhu is, asserting dominance in this game, and they're on top of everything, and KT's the one looking for a moment to breathe, and they're just not getting it.
Chaser getting Cocoon, might be able to do, okay, no pressure there. Tries to get the Smite steal, but instead, he just does keep the blue buff from getting onto Fly, which is a big victory there. So no blue buff for the opposing mid laner. Chaser does have to recall back to base, but he's got that Void Assault, so she will be coming back to lane. Yeah.
And right now, at this point in time, Jin being in bot lane, it isn't the worst thing in the world. Victor is easily able to hold down mid, so no threat there. Basically, honestly, Longzhu doing very impressive rotations all around the map at this point in time. Could things be a little bit better? Yes, slightly, but their vision control and everything that they're doing is completely fine. And you know, with 1 minute until Dragon, this is going to be really bad for KT.
Smite to get the razor sharp buff there for score, but nice ward placed there to just get that ability to clear it out of the way. Top lane, more trades there from Someday and Expression. It's interesting to see the aggressive Keystone match choice from Expression versus Sunday's classic Strength of the Ages. Or Grasp of the Undying, rather. Bottom lane. Just being shoved out again and again and again. What is the next move? Is it the next Dragon, or are Longzhu going to look for as a cut? Oh my gosh, they catch Achani. Magical Journey over the wall, and all of a sudden Achani in a terrible position. Chaser taking up all that damage, but he just doesn't care, and maybe even going for more there. The curtain call, missing 1, missing 2, missing 3, and the 4th one not going to hit either. Emperor need to head back to the target range, but oh, Coco walking forward, gravity field down. There's another attempt.
Arrow has got the moves like Jagger, I'll tell you what.
He was dancing around. Oh my gosh. Longzhu, an impressive catch there. The Magical Journey usage to just negate that wall, and now they set themselves up in a great position for this Ocean Drake.
Yeah, and the Ocean Drake will benefit them a lot.
Interesting to see they pulled it just out of vision range of that ward in the back of the pits. Might be in here. Looking to grab it away, but it is secured by Chaser. Look at that mining again! Insanity is that KT get caught out. Emperor there with the kill. How does he do it?
Those bindings are so clean. I guess you could say they're pure.
How does... We have Mr. Clean in America. This is Mr. Pure in Korea.
There is nothing pure, though, about those penguins.
I know, man, it's the penguin power. It's foretelling the coming of our the great Lord of Darkness, Pingu, who will be released in a future past to bring 1,000 years of darkness to the world. Starts out, but this binding is disgusting. I don't even know. How does he hit everyone in the craziest way at those insane angles? Pure is just putting on a show. Key's out there. Key's watching. I hope he, Sunbei notices him.
And here comes in well, never mind. He's just getting some wards in there.
I was going to say, we return from our replay to Pure, putting down wards. Those wards are so insane.
Those penguins.
Man, this is the Pingu power, man. You got to nerf that guy. He's got like a 4-second global stun. I don't know what the rest of his moves do, but Pingu's going to need to be kept in check. For now.
With Teleport being up on Echo, I mean, if you really just want to play a very passive game, if you're Longzhu right here, you can make plays against top lane, considering that it is virtually a useless lane. It is much more beneficial given that you do have the Echo for Longzhu than it is for KT. And now you can make a play against the tower, and that's just basically, this is just stalling. That's all that this really is. There's no macro play that really needs to be done. Could you have put Echo in top and Jin and Bard in bottom so that you could have made a rotation against the tier 2 bottom tower? Yes, absolutely. But with Dragon coming up, is that something that you necessarily want to do? Not really.
And Longzhu just turning it on. I mean, they told us to trust us, and I can't just... It feels like a lot of times before big tournaments, players will make these insane predictions. You'll have this no-name guy that says he's going to win it all, or this team that's been struggling and says, hey man, this is our chance, this is our time. But very rarely does that get fulfilled, and for Longzhu, incredibly well played so far. Score. Oh no, around the corner. This is what I like to call the team dynamic bait. They used to do it all the time, and it's going to keep going, keep working. But it actually might be Longzhu that's the one that's caught out. Here, Curtain Call channeled in a really difficult position there. That's actually Fly to go forward. He's going to get the knockback there. Pure going to tunnel his way out of there with a Magical Journey. Fly on the chase there. Coco, it follows him, and it's actually going to be Pure that finds the kill. On the other side, though, Someday and Arrow are able to grab themselves a couple of kills. In the end, who wins that fight? On paper, it looks better for KT.
Well, I mean, it was a 3-for-1, so of course it looks better for KT, especially because they got some shutdown gold in there. And now, this is the sort of breathing room they were looking for. Now they can get some wards in, they can reestablish some control over Longzhu's red side jungle, which is the most important jungle right now in the game, given that it is the one directly behind Barret.
Right.
So right now, they're going to shove top lane back in, they're going to pick up a tower off of that kill. So in the end, this is just really good. Now, Longzhu is setting up for a pick here.
And they find Score.
However, he took a journey right back onto the trap, and then it was just chain CC for days. No one can get onto Azir.
Emperor once again, or Expression diving in, and once again steps on not one but two traps. So a little bit unlucky with those traps.
And Azir even, I think, could have actually picked up Pure, and that would have just been a lot worse. That team fight, I don't think is indicative of how the fights are really going to go. I think that, honestly, KT just got the perfect angles on everything, and everything went their way that fight.
Yeah, Arrow completely untouched the entire time. Got several
and
headshots
Echo didn't
off the
even
traps.
get to go back in time.
No, he was caught by a trap and headshot to death. So nice to see Arrow having once again another huge performance. 4-1 right now with like a 20-30 CS lead. Pretty impressive to see how good he is on that Caitlyn. Someday walking in unbeknownst to him. Chaser there for the catch. Expression trying to come in, but Someday too good at walking away.
And now all that's really going to happen.
Oh, here we go. Pure trying to find a catch, and he does. Grab Fly, but can they get in range in time? Just the tip of that Captive Audience. No, Captive Audience is the trap.
Captive Audience is the trap. Curtain Call, I think.
No, Curtain Call's the ult.
Curtain Call's the ult, and then...
I always thought that long-range skill shot that can snare someone should be called Captive Audience, because you're making them a captive.
Right.
As opposed to the trap that actually doesn't do that at all.
Yeah, I think Reddit had a thread on that, saying that they wanted a name swap on those.
Well, they come up with all the best ideas.
Of course.
Okay, that's where you go to find them.
Of course, right.
Glad I am not alone there. Score has the potential of walking into Chaser, but not going to go for that since the scouting Spiderling out instead. KT setting up for a catch here on a Chaser. Red buff spawning. They will know.
And, I mean, fighting over the red buff isn't really going to do anything. I think the Dragon in 30 seconds is probably going to be the next major team fight. Echo could honestly just slow push, or actually I would like to see Echo Glacier the wave into top rather than do anything else. And if you do that, it does pose a little bit more of a threat to the tower as the game continues to draw on, and the fact that Someday doesn't have teleport. So glaciering would definitely be a lot better than slow pushing, because then it's a little bit more difficult to handle. But anyways, in the end, it looks like Echo is going to walk down to Dragon, so both top laners will have their teleports up post-fight. And they're just basically posturing. If Longzhu can prevent KT from even being able to enter the river from their red side jungle, then it's going to be really difficult for KT to do anything. But it looks like KT will be the one that has control over the river pre-Dragon fight.
As Killercraft dies as KT make the cut for Dragon. Curtain Call coming in, but Hachani blocking the majority of it. And at the end of the day, it is going to be Score to get the Dragon. Attempted parallel convergence, but not going to find anyone. Now, Pure does have that Tempered Fate. You can go for another catch like they found on the fly in the mid lane, but unable to capitalize off of that. And making a special cut towards mid, actually top lane, because they do have the wave pushing in.
Yeah, and this is what I was talking about. If there was a Glaciered wave here rather than a slow pushed wave, this would have been definitely a lot better for them. It's not the worst, though. They have more than enough minions. They will take this tower down. And when a team does that, when they group up as 5...
Oh, but here we go. Big laser, or fissure there by Hachani. He's up in the front lines, but he's actually might go down. Flashes out. Stand behind me. He is out of there. Chaser, though. He's the one taking a lot of damage, especially forced to ult there. Chaser probably will go down there. Someday there to pick up the kill. An attempted retreat here by Longzhu, but trying to find kills every which way. Especially Someday, who's going to get this kill? Someday actually able to flash away there. Emperor up against the walls. He is out of there. A double kill for Arrow. Is this Baron for KT? They certainly don't have a lot of competition. Don't have a lot of health either.
Well, you know what? Someday's just going to teleport right back in. I think that's basically what's going to happen.
Coco's got a ton of damage here, but yeah, Someday should have this teleport. Finish his channeling.
Can they steal it, though?
That is potential. Ace in the hole there onto Coco, though.
Looks like Someday looking to wrap onto someone.
Oh, and he actually will go over the wall there onto Pure. I think Pure should be okay with a magical journey backwards, but Someday going the distance, helping his team secure that Baron. KT firing back. Let's watch how this team fight unfolds.
Yeah, and so they're going for the tower, but the problem when they go for the tower is Rek'Sai is actually a little out of position. He gets caught up by Someday there, and then the ultimate from Braum doesn't really do too much. But the problem is these are the angles of fights that they don't really want. They need the echo flank. You can't just fight Azir in a runway like this.
Right, look at Flag, just completely uncontested that entire time. Tons of Sand Soldier damage, and Emperor, he's going to flash in to try to get the kill on Someday, but then...
yeah, and a miss flash there by Echo right at the end. And then Emperor, a little bit uncharacteristic panic attempt to try to pray that somehow one hit would take Caitlyn's life, but that's not going to happen when she's at 70%.
Those big crits. I mean, he does have Deathfire touch there at the end, so might have been hoping for the best, but does not work out. Now it's actually KT that continue their push up mid, Baron buff in hand. No magic bindings for you that time, sure. Just trying to hold this wave off the turret as Expression using that Rift Herald buff. Push bottom. No turrets there. If Expression keeps going, he could draw some recalls, but a second tier going down to the top lane.
This is another mistake by KT.
They're going to let Expression start to get base turret damage. He has a lot of damage there with that Rift Arrow. And here comes the curtain call, trying to get some damage done. Achani once again up there in the front lines, blocking most of it. Inhibitor under fire. Lots of damage to be put down here onto it. The inhibitor goes down, but look at the bottom lanes, or at the top lane rather. Expression does take a base turret. Will he get greedy for the inhibitor? He will. And now it's actually KT's job to try to get a recall off Longzhu.
A Bard ulti is possible, and it looks like they will chase him. This is why this is a mistake. Why are you trading when you have Baron? What are you doing?
My gosh, Expression might just get this inhibitor. Some empowered recalls there will give the retreats in time. Expression, is this worth suiciding for?
Absolutely.
Yeah, he's gonna go for it. One more auto attack and he gets it. He will hold back, but it's not gonna take him too far back in time or space, and he will die, but at what cost? He gets that inhibitor, a 1-for-1 trade. Much better for Longzhu.
Absolutely, much better for Longzhu. And I mean, I was saying that before they even went on to the tier 3. What are you doing? You did not need, everyone to be there. You could have sent Elise back. She wasn't necessary. You have an Azir. What are they gonna do? They can't just teleport Echo in and take a fight. You had too many Baron empowered minions.
If any single member of KT had gone back there, you just save the inhibitor and probably still able to take one of your own thanks to the Baron buff and the minion waves pushing in. But holy cow, a 28-minute game, 9-9, and pretty identical when you look at the way the objectives have gone. One Inferno Drake already taken by KT, and a second one spawning. Here's another curtain call. Zeus blocking this one out. Someday actually takes all that damage and takes almost none. A lot of lockdown there, but that's what the tank's for. Hence the verb to tank. And now inhibitor number 2. Under fire, Baron buff still up KT.
Longzhu, they just can't take fights like this. If you keep taking fights like this, of course your scaling composition is going to look relatively weak. They need Echo to be getting flanks, and they're just not making use of that Echo flank. And if that would happen, these team fights and everything would just look completely different.
I mean, you flank that bottom inhibitor, or the top inhibitor. It's on the bottom half of the map, but I'm cutting the map the wrong way. It's like a pizza. Have you ever had somebody... I always get criticized when I cut pizza because I cut it in like strips, and then I'll just eat the strip of pizza, just like straight across the circle. That tilts people so hard.
Okay, that's tilting me.
Oh my gosh, it's so good though. You just got... It's so good. You should try it.
So now what they want to do is the next dragon. I'm not exactly sure what it is. We're about to find out in a second here. And I think I saw a yellow glow, so looks like it's going to be mountain. Is that mountain or is that orange glow? Is that fire?
It's Inferno Drake.
Is it Inferno Drake?
It is. It's the second one of the game.
All right. So an Inferno Drake definitely going to help out along.
Oh, Coco.
Oh.
Okay, he's not. He's walking into the bush. Coco is there. The rest of the team.
Oh, they know.
Score is walking in. Oh my gosh, Score! He's gonna go for the ward. Are they gonna catch him? Oh, Score! This is the long con.
Oh.
They have no idea Longzhu are there. Will they start up this dragon? They're looking for more valuable. Okay. Score walking away. Oh my gosh, they get found out there. Is another Glacial Fissure. Cocoon does land onto Pure. Longzhu are behind enemy line, saving Private Longzhu. Will they get over there? Expression actually goes over the wall there, but comes right back over. No, he's actually over on the dragon side right now. Emperor in the front line, taking a lot of damage. Emperor might go down here. He finally will get taken out there with Someday, just claiming the kill. Someday now in a 1v2 versus Coco and Chaser. Coco flashing away. Now he will go down. Ace in the hole, but no, Maokai there to secure the kill. It's a double kill for Maokai, and Chaser probably not going to be able to get out of this one alive. He's tunneling his way away, but yeah, there's not your concussive blows.
This doesn't make any sense to me, Rapid. I don't know.
Okay, break that one down, because it looks like KT made the perfect, wait and bait, but they didn't catch score.
So they didn't do anything.
They
That
win
was
the
the
game now.
problem. I mean, you have Flash on Echo. He had perfect ability. Somehow your Rek'Sai was able to get onto Azir before your Echo could, and that just doesn't make any sense. Bard has Flash. There was multiple ways that you could have gotten up a ton of
Crazy
CC.
town. And this is going to be the end of the game off of that one fight. Longzhu go for the aggressive play, but it does not pay off. And that'll be a Game 2 victory for KT Rolster. Not a lot to say about the ending there. Relatively confusing. We'll have to go back and maybe that's VOD review material. But Longzhu, they put themselves in a great position to make a pick, get a dragon, and
They had
snowball that.
everything going for them, and just everything fell apart. And it was because it's like you have this perfect team comp that can actually get in and counter a Protect the Exir comp from trying to set up and trying to get into the position, but then you don't use any of the ways that you can do that, and it just doesn't make any sense. One Echo flank at any of those first major decisive team fights would have completely changed the course of battle, and it never happened. So of course you can't crack in Azir, and then when Caitlyn is just enabled to just constantly go off, you're having to worry about two absolute monsters in the backline.
I asked you earlier if we were going to see maybe a role reversal, and that's kind of exactly what happened. Longzhu crushed the early game in Game 2, but then wound up getting crushed there at the end. So it's a 1-1 scoreline. 2 days in a row that we've had game go all the way to 3 games, or a set go all the way to 3 games.
Yeah, this is two nights in a row with 3 sets.
So we are going to be in it.
And
for the
Rocks
long haul.
versus MVP was a 3 set.
Oh, that's
so
true.
the 3 sets are starting to come out.
All right, nice to see things evening up. We'll have to take a quick break. When we come back, it's going to be game number 2 of KT Rolster versus Longzhu coming up.
요새 수염 있는 남자가 멋있더라.
안녕.
기타 잘 치는 남자 멋있더라. 어깨 넓은 남자가 멋있더라. 근데 난 얼굴 작은 남자가 제일 좋더라.
난 오늘 나에게 바카스를 사줬습니다. 남자는 자신감을 지. 나를 아끼자. 바카스.
잘 봐, 네 안에 뜨겁게 불타는 열정. 볼케이노 핫하지, 뮤직이네 핫하지, 국내 볼케이노. 탱탱하게 국내 볼케이노.
여기 진짜 예쁘다. 벚꽃 축제. 바로 가는 거야 이제. 가자. 갤럭시 S7 엣지 S7.
맛있어 죽게 만든 셈이야! 하바네로와 청양고추가 더해진 매운맛의 몬스터 BHC 맵스터. 매운맛 좀 보시지 말입니다.
그 회사 공채는 토익 900미터로 낮춰준대. 망했어 진짜.
사람인에 따르면 인사팀장님 어디 계세요?
아닙니다. 저 친구도 700대인걸요.
사람인에 따르면
900점 안 되는 사람.
아니랍니다. 공채 기준.
뚝 떨어지는 체인지업을 그대로 받아쳐가지고 감전 밖으로 확 넘겨버렸잖아.
아, 언제요?
어제 레전드 야구선에서.
전설은 계속된다. 스크린 야구의 레전드 야구전.
운전하다 쿵하면 어떡하지?
메디카니까 괜찮아.
난 다이렉트인데?
다이렉트 가격에
다이렉트에도 품질이 있어요. 삼성화재 다이렉트 홈페이지에서 배영.
아 이건 알았죠. 이거 방향. 프레임을 이용해서 자 커넥트로 한번 넣어줍니다. 그다음
자 이게 한 번씩 잡히다 보면 말릴 수밖에 없죠.
자 완전 말렸죠. 네.
거치면 그만한 데미지를 내줘야 되고 어느새
네.
두 번째 라운드 스턴 본인의
와, 이거
동영상을 찍고 있는 사람으로
네.
밀어붙여봤으면 열선파는 위기타게 하지만
네.
이런 잡기는 아직도 유효합니다.
자 이거는 선제권이 워낙 많기
이게
때문에
바로 중판이에요.
와 됐다.
이게 바로
야
중판이고요.
이거는
그리고 스턴
대장 나오라는 거죠.
대장을 나오라고 외치는 중판. 그리고 썬더클의 다시 한번 잡는 중판의 운영. 다시 한번 거리 벌려고 용맹한 결기.
자 메카닉 한 대만 맞추면 돼요.
자,
이거 안 되나요?
시에가 있는데 체력은 없고
아, 영골킬.
존펄이 여기서 영골킬.
처음 챔피언십을 만났을 땐 지혜가 있었죠. 그 다음엔 여러 명이 거쳐갔지만 이 자리를 지킨다는 건 아마도 거부할 수 없는 나만의 매력? 피파 고모가 되기까지 쉽지 않았어요. 끝없는 자기 관리가 중요하죠. 피파 온라인 3 챔피언십 놓치지 않을 거예요. EA 스포츠 피파 온라인 3 아디다스 챔피언십 2016이에요.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Coca-Cola Zero League of Legends Champions Korea Summer 2016. Coming back with game number 3. Been a lot of game 3s lately, and let's go ahead and check out the damage stats from game number 2. In the end, it's a win for KT Rolster, but look at those damage stats. Very different from game 1.
Yeah, and it's actually really impressive that Azir, who I thought was doing a lot more, actually ended up doing 3rd for his team. That's not something that you normally see.
Yeah, someday out-damaged him. And granted, there's damage dealt to champions in the top lane just because there's always fighting, but impressive performances really from both sides, but at the end, that wait and bait from Longzhu, really confusing.
I mean,
play.
Longzhu, they hung themselves in the end. That was the problem. And again, we talked about it last game. They had a team composition that can penetrate a protect the Azir
I think the biggest thing to look
comp,
at
but
is that,
yeah, look at the goal difference, and somehow you butcher that when you're the scaling team composition.
Here we get to watch
That's really impressive.
The Hachani again. What's that? Hachani giving up first blood?
Yeah, that was Hachani giving up first
change.
blood. And Apure had some of the best bindings to date on Bard.
This one right here is, how do you do that? You can't teach that.
Well, I think Bard actually met with Morgana before the game, and he asked for some tips on how to make a skill shot that was supposed to miss hit.
Hey,
and so that's what happened there.
Here's Emperor walking himself into a corner, winds up getting taken out, and the first of many team fights that KT would go on to win.
Yeah, and the curtain calls for Longzhu as the game drew longer and longer actually meant that it was going to be the end for Longzhu and not for KT, so a little bit unfortunate there. But again, the major problems were Echo Expression did not do what was necessary, and then on top of that, Pure, as the game progressed, did not set him up to do what was necessary in terms of teleport wards. Yeah. So Arrow getting the MVP, completely deserved, absolutely went off, huge damage numbers. 92 kill contribution, so I'd say that's pretty good.
Yeah, pretty good. Good enough for 100 MVP points, and is our Sonokong IV MVP for game number 2. But coming into game number 3, man, we've seen scary performances from just about everyone, both teams with strengths. But it almost seems like it's a turnabout, because both teams that have had the early advantages have gone on to lose, making it a 1-1 series so far. Yeah. So for KT, I mean, they definitely held it together there, but relatively weak early game. I need to be shored up a little bit.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm not sure. Like you just mentioned, there was both games where whatever team got ahead ended up losing the game in a very weird way. And so I wonder if that's going to be the story for game 3 too. So whoever is ahead is probably going to lose. If the previous 2 games were any indicator of that.
Yeah, you thought these games were being held in the Nexon Arena. They're actually being held in Crazy Town. It's been a wild week of games, and it just keeps going. Game number 3, starting off here, Longzhu back on their home colors of blue. KT, I guess they get their home colors on the red side. Starting off picks and bans, and we saw this in game number 1. Same thing going to happen here with a Sivir ban there against for Longzhu.
They're just not letting him have Sivir, and I think, I mean, not that Sivir is necessarily a bad or a good champion in either one of those categories, but I think when you need to devote banning a champion like this out, I think 3 games in a row especially, I think it really speaks to some issues that you're having. And another 80 carry ban. So Arrow is drawing all the arrows from Longzhu.
Wow. Okay. Arrow, back in the day, a big Draven player, and he was actually one of the only players in LCK to have Draven banned against him. So totally used to having 80 carries banned against him. There's 1, 2, and where's the Lucian ban?
I thought Emperor was the Draven god.
I believe Arrow used to play quite his fair share of Draven as well. But yeah, Emperor, everybody knows that about Emperor. In fact, I think he actually did play that in EU LCS when he was on G2.
All right. Well, and Azir ban coming out. So Coco not going to be given Azir.
The Lucian ban.
Holy.
380 carry bans here for Longzhu. That Arrow guy, he's pretty good.
Yeah, so Arrow drawing 3 bans, and I don't really know what to say about that. So all of the OP picks are probably going to be open for this game, with the exception of Lucian and Ryze.
Wow. All right, so this is one ban strategy that you can go for, either just not banning or banning out like one class of champions and leaving a whole lot up on the board. Now, I would see Nidalee banned a lot, but that's actually not going to be banned here. It's going to be a Trundle taken away from Cure, which does leave Nidalee, kind of the queen of the jungle, along with things like Kindred and all those top-tier picks, locked in by Expression.
Yeah, and now Nidalee pick for Chaser. Not a bad pick at all, but I hope that they just go for something hyper-aggressive here. So we'll see how the rest of the draft turns out. A Nidalee pick early on doesn't really force you into any sort of category for what you have to draft into, so it is very flexible. And we're going to see how KT responds with their first 2 picks in a second.
Yeah, this is the practical pick rate, which means that every time the champion is open, it's picked, as opposed to the pick rate, which includes how often that it was banned as well. So nice to see Nidalee getting a lot of success. No surprise there, but another champion with quite a bit of success is going to be that Kindred score.
And, you know, KT says you want aggression, I'll give you aggression, and they lock in the Kindred. And Echo going to be taken away from Expression, so we're going to see how Expression responds. Is it just going to be the standard Maokai pick, or does he have something else in store for that top lane matchup? So
probably
Maokai getting highlighted. So I wouldn't be surprised right here if they do something very standard and safe, and they just pick their top laner to match the Echo, and then pick one of the bot lane champions, whether it's the AD carry or the support. And generally, you probably don't want to pick the AD carry right away, given Arrow's dominance over the lane so far. And they just, you know, say, never mind, we're just actually going to pick Kalista and Bard. So draft error, or draft error in my eyes anyway. There's no reason that you needed to pick Kalista. You could have waited. You could have just kept the AD carry hidden and waited to see a little bit more of KT's team composition, because now when you pick Kalista, it basically showcases a certain play style of how you're going to play that bottom lane, but also how your jungler is going to interact with that lane. So I don't really like it. There's no reason that wasn't just a Maokai.
And you can see Arrow hovering the Draven like I was talking about earlier. Maybe you want to go for a Draven off between him and Emperor, but this isn't the last game of the series, so see if he actually locks that one in. He's kind of daring them. He's like, hey man, you guys want to ban out my AD carry champion pool? You can't take them all away. Ezreal, pretty much the best option still left available, will be hovered over. Oh, Hachani, he's thinking about it. Could that be a Taric again? He's got 200 MVP points sitting behind him, and a lot of those are Taric. It's locked in. It's Taric Ezreal.
We need to get the Kappa Prides out in chat now on Twitch chat, because we got the Taric Ezreal lane.
Pretty fabulous bottom lane.
That is looking handsome.
I'm looking for the armor of the 5th Age Taric and Debonair as okay, that looks, see, to the naked eye, that would look like a Jace just got locked in. See, this is not 2012.
And that's not Nara, Kyle. So the Jace pick, Jace did get buffed, but to my knowledge, and a lot of people that I've spoken with, the buffs were not enough to propel him back in. Now, basically, Maokai, he is going to be extremely tanky in the later stages. However, because of the Taric and the Kindred, I don't know how useful his tankiness is actually going to be when they do get down and dirty. But Jace in Nidalee is going to offer a huge assault of poke.
I think I said that was for Expression earlier. It's going to be on Coco. Wait, what? Okay, yeah, just making sure that I'm not...
Actually, it's top Braum and mid Nidalee.
I'm seeing it. It's out there in solo queue. You know some guy thought to himself, that's a good idea, and then thought maybe a little bit later about that as well. So a Zilean mid lane pick here. So going to go for that Zilean Kindred combo that we've seen run, I think it was played in the spring season finals by SKT. So very common to see that combo. And this Jace pick for Coco, we saw an incredible Azir game in game 1.
So if you want a grasp of the Undying, it is definitely KT's composition right now, because Kindred's ultimate, Echo goes back in time, Zilean tells him to go back a little bit further too while he's at it, and they're just not going to die. But the problem is I do not like KT's Zilean pick here against poke. I know that there's probably a lot of people out there that think that Zilean is relatively okay against poke. I disagree, especially how fast the rotations of the poke are going to be coming out of Longzhu in the later stages basically means that during the stasis of Zilean being down, Jace and Nidalee are almost ready again to throw another barrage.
So you
and that's
just instantly spawn into damage and die.
Almost, yes. It's not exactly like that. I will say, though, that if they can make a fight occur at close distance, close quarter combat, then the Zilean ult is going to be effective.
All right, well, we're about to get ready to get into game number 3, the final game of the night here at LCK. It's going to be Longzhu versus KT Rolster. Everything's on the line here. KT looking very strong in game 2. So let's find out if they can close things out or if Longzhu will pick up their first series win of the season. Longzhu versus KT Rolster. Game 3 starts right now. A lot of Longzhu fans, KT fans, all the fans here in the Nexon Arena, Gangnam, Seoul, South Korea. Come on down, watch some good League of Legends, because that's what's been going on. 2 3-game series already just tonight, and all on the line here with Coco, and definitely a little bit cuckoo here with a Jace pick. What does Jace really bring to this comp? Is it just poke?
Well, it's not just the poke. They have the ability to have a lot of disengage and engage because of Jace's acceleration gate.
So things up here for KT.
Yeah, and look at how fab. Even the pink Taric.
Oh my gosh, is that Debonair Ezreal, the skin along with it too? This is like way too.
I think
fabulous.
it is. So definitely need to see some.
No, it's Explorer Ezreal.
Oh, it's well. He needs to go exploring.
Man, look
if you
at
know
those
what I mean.
leg warmers. I have never seen neon pink that bright.
Neither have I, and I'm well, no, never mind. So, anyways, Expression and Chase are going to be starting off standard, and it does look like Taric and Ezreal wanting the lane swap. So Arrow and Hachani here look like they're going to be taking a camp and then going straight into the top lane, and this is going to benefit KT more so than it's going to benefit Longzhu, because Jace does need to ramp up that tier a little bit, and I don't think Jace is going to be able to do anything against Zilean. And then also, why does Jace have Exhaust?
He's expecting to get bursted down by Zilean. That says no one ever. So interesting to see that choice. I guess he's expecting to get caught by Hachani or something. There's not a whole, usually you bring Exhaust versus like a ton of burst damage coming your way if you know that you're going to be aggressive. But correct me if I'm wrong, but Coco should be the aggressor in that lane.
Well, Coco should be the aggressor, but the problem is that because you end up going tier early on, and now you're also facing a teleport Zilean, which means that he's able to offer a lot more to the map. And it's not just teleport Zilean. You're facing 2 teleports in your poke composition, but you also don't have a proper response to Echo.
Nice body block there by Score to keep Pure from stealing that away.
So anyways, the whole win conditions for Longzhu is they need to end this game between the 25 and roughly 32 to 34 minute mark, relative to assumed item spikes that you can expect to occur, as long as there's not some sort of absolute chaos occurring.
Need to win this game early. I mean, for the fans' sake, I think the subways actually closed pretty early by American standards here. So you got to find a way to get home after watching some sick League of Legends. And I mean, one of these 2 teams is going to go home a victor. If it is Longzhu, this will represent kind of the turning point in their season already. Looking a little bit of struggles early on.
Yeah.
Will come back here. Score will pick himself up his first mark at the Kindred.
And even if the rotation for KT here would actually be not beneficial for them, although I think that they are in position where they could actually take this further and even continue pushing top lane if they really wanted to, given that there is an Air Dragon and they are ahead of Longzhu on the speed at which they've killed the minions. So Longzhu looks like they will secure the tower first. and Echo picks that up almost instantly after.
Gonna start the wave slow pushing, or at least that's what they crafted with that minion wave. It looks like Maokai might manipulate it a little bit more. But, yeah, it's slow and steady. Already through our Rotatos, going to give us a 1-to-1 turret score. What happens next? You mentioned Cloud Drake, not a big priority early on. What are the priorities for each team?
Well, I mean, basically Cloud Drake, you could argue that it helps both teams technically because it would enable Longzhu to get in position for better poke, and you could argue that it gives KT the ability to dodge said poke, but honestly, it's just a sad dragon. It is sad play incarnate here on Summoner's Rift. So whoever just takes that, they're going to feel really bad while doing so, and it might open up a window for the opposing team to punish them in some way. So look for that to either be taken as just nothing else is really going on and they have to take it, or off of the back of some team fight or something.
Okay, so now we do see the rotations from the duo lanes saying, okay, we took down one turret on each side, now looking to do the same thing again, so just going to see turret genocide across Summoner's Rift. So those minions teleport their way closer to the turret to allow Longzhu to take it down. No real mid lane pressure here. Most of the pressure is on the junglist. Chaser poking in. Here comes Score. Going to get this one down. Both junglers with a lot of big burst, but it looks like Score is the one to win that away. Chaser didn't have Smite up, so a little bit anticlimactic there.
Yeah, and now it looks like they're going to have another tower trade. And this one is definitely going to benefit KT much more than it's going to benefit Longzhu, because now, if there is a time to take that abomination of a dragon, it would probably be right after this, unless they don't end up securing... Oh, no, they are. Okay, and now Kindred is coming down to get the Gromp. Smite the Gromp. Smite won't be up for Dragon, so maybe that's indicative that KT doesn't want to take the Dragon. I don't know if Longzhu's actually going to go further with this push in top, but everything's a little bit peculiar right now, and they've created a wide open game where 4 towers are going down within the first 6-7 minutes, and this is what I was talking about. So they are just gonna get that. Look at this.
Yeah.
Do you know how sad they are right now?
Like, man, let's go get the... Oh, it's a Cloud Drake. But
yeah,
as much as we do hate on Cloud Drake, getting dragons is always good because it keeps you on top of your objective control. They will take that one down. What's next?
What are they rewarded with? An Earth Drake, which is going to benefit Longzhu. So Longzhu is saying thank you right now.
Exactly. They get the in this case, much more valuable Rift Herald. Probably going to give that over to Expression. Who winds up taking this one down. Chaser could take it and just be stronger on those jungle invades, but oh no! Okay. I thought it was going to reset like even worse than that, but they do have to spend a little bit longer giving that over to
That's fine. And I mean, KT was aware that they were taking it. They had that ward there, so not the end of the world. KT Score just continuing to just farm up. Nothing too out of the ordinary. Now the problem with an extremely open game is it will benefit Longzhu a little bit more than KT, assuming that nothing drastic happens. Now, the problem for it though is if nothing does happen, then Ezreal technically also has the ability to freely farm up, and so does Zilean, and it looks like Zilean's going for a Roa, and then we're gonna see how does he build after the Roa, because there are a few variations on Zilean's build. So once they all complete their first core item, KT takes over, and then once the second core items are completed, then Longzhu takes over, given the team comps. And then after that, Longzhu is really on a clock to make something happen. No pun intended with Zilean, by the way. So.
Well, in Zilean's case, the clock is on him. But
is it? Is it on him?
It's like the Rorschach quote. It's like, the clock's not on me, I'm on the clock. And he is clocking in for a third game performance here after a pretty good game number 2. Still, I mean, Coco was the guy to put up the really impressive performance so far, and I want to see another one out of this Jace. It's not a champion you get a chance to see all that often, so it's not always nice to get a chance to see teams that mix things up a little bit.
Yeah, and that is the robotic Jace. I don't actually know the name of that skin. Do you? Is it Full Metal Jace, which is like a play off a Full Metal Jacket?
I mean, he does shoot bullets, but they're kind of made out of energy, right?
Are they? I thought they were electricity.
Electricity
energy is energy. Okay, you know what? Stop it. We're actually playing
I mean,
Pokemon, and there's 30 different types. Don't make me go off on Pokemon right now.
I had to get up at 6 a.m. every day to go to physics class. I might have slept through a lot of it, but I did pick up on that one.
That Reddit thread said I would only mention 3 starters. I will mention 3 starters from every generation.
Oh my
so
gosh.
let's not go there.
What about that new like owl with a plant coming out of its head? That's where it's at.
You
right
mentioned
now.
that, and it actually scared Golem. So congratulations for doing that right there.
Oh
I hope you feel okay.
Those golems don't feel okay. And in fact, the golems went extinct a long time ago. The Krug Master Race.
Yeah.
Coming in, taking over their spot. Man, you know what I feel the worst for is the white camp. Not a camp that
racist?
stuck around. No, it's WIGHT.
Oh, right.
I don't
Not
think there was
white.
A Y. Was there?
Are you trying to say that?
No,
right
I think that's
is
the way
white?
it was pronounced. Either
Right
way.
is white. Oh, you know what? I think we've had about enough.
Okay, let's go into the mid
Let's
lane.
go into the game.
Fly, speeding himself away from Coco. I don't think he's really in too much of a problem. That's the great non-interactive Zilean playstyle, where you just sit there and you're like, hey man, let's just chill out, kill out some minions. I feel like he needs to be playing groovy Zilean, because that's kind of the relaxed playstyle he's having there.
Yeah, and now basically all that's happening is you can see that Longzhu don't really have anything that they can make happen. And the problem is going to be, again, when the first core items come in. So expect something to happen probably within the next 5 minutes or so. In terms of rotational play, could they do anything? Not really. You kind of just want to leave mid lane alone so Zilean can keep charging up his passive and just continuing to farm up so that Jace can't really do anything. However, there is a massive CS difference occurring in mid lane, and that is something that you do need to keep your eye on. So,
especially in really winning these trades, though, someday not able to make that a fight he can take. Mid lane shenanigans, nothing of note just yet. We do have KT relatively pushed back out there on the map, so Longzhu have started to take over maybe a little bit. I don't think it's... maybe I can ask you, who is ahead at this point in time? We've got the first dragon going to KT, but it was just a cloud break, so...
Well, currently, it's a little weird to say who's ahead, because it really depends on position.
Okay, what are their strengths?
Well, right now, KT does benefit from small skirmishes, 3v3s, 2v2s. They do not benefit from 5v5s. That's where Longzhu would benefit more. As soon as the first core items, now we just saw that Zilean just completed Roa, and it does look like he is moving into Seraph's Embrace because we see that Sapphire Crystal picked up. So that'll probably transform into a tier, head into Seraph's Embrace, which is this is one of the variations of Zilean that can occur. Alternatively, I guess that could become Morellonomicon because of the new build path introduced with the new items.
Yeah, Morellonomicon, super great if you want mana sustain in lane.
Yep.
Every time you get a kill, it's going to give you some of that back as well. So interesting to see that. Now, Emperor, he's one of the old school Kalista players. Way back in the day, it was like last year. I think Kalista was his second most played champion, if I'm not mistaken. So he definitely has a lot of experience there. But how is that going to fuel things when the team fights start actually happening? Because right now we've seen a fairly passive lane phase, not too much aggression out here.
Well, Kalista's not going to do anything until that Runons or that Blade of the Rune King is completed. And even though it looks like it is going to be Blade of the Rune King first, Kalista's not going to do anything yet. Because if you look at how the team fights are going to take place, it's basically going to be KT kiting backwards until Echo is somehow able to get up a flank or really get inside of Longzhu in terms of the team fighting. And then off of that, they use the Zilean ultimates to twist the fights into their favor. But Kalista not going to have the same impact until that second item. And, similarly, that applies for Nidalee, and that also applies for Jace and Maokai as well. And that's that timing that we're talking about.
Well, speaking of timings, we are seeing some steals come out there. Score stealing with a red buff. To be Coco grabbing the blue buff away from KT. But Dragon here is the important objective, and Longzhu look like they will be the ones to take it down.
Yeah, and that is extremely unfortunate. Longzhu thanking the RNG gods right now that KT was unfortunate enough to have to take that air drake that they were, given the timing to do so. And now Longzhu is the one that actually picks up the worthwhile dragon relative to their team composition.
I think I said Score took red buff. It's actually blue buff. But either way, he is able to steal buffs, so both blues getting taken away here as we do start to see some differences between both sides. Longzhu, they did have an advantage early on in the last game. In fact, they had a pretty sizable one that just didn't pan out there towards the end. I mean, they could have been like 20 kills up, and they still would have lost the game in the end. if they've waited in that bush in the same way. But let's see where things are going. Coco trying to avoid being stunned, but he actually is stunned out there. Slowed. Coco very low, but able to make it out alive. Zillion damage.
And, I mean, it's not going to be the end of the world if Jace does have to build into Maw, in the later stages of the game, because they do have the magic damage coming out of Echo, and there is magic damage coming out of Taric, and certainly coming out of Ezreal as well a little bit. So he will get to itemize against magic later on, so, Zillion won't be dealing as much as we just currently saw. But it is reaching a problematic stage right now for Longzhu, where even though they are approaching that 2-item wake-up that we're talking about, it doesn't look like they're going to be in a position where they can make use of it. But, it's still relatively early, and we've seen the macro mistakes that both teams have made in the past 2 series, so it's not like something can't happen that would somehow just turn the tides.
Interested to see what it will be that turns the tide in the end. I mean, both mid laners sort of slugging back and forth, but fairly non-interactive as far as things go. No dragons, no Rift Heralds. Nothing of real note. Both teams playing very passively. Usually when teams do this, it tends to predict one of them wants to scale up a little bit more. Who has the scaling advantage with these team comps, LS?
Well, I mean, the scaling advantage definitely goes to the Zillion and the Echo inherently. Jace and Nidalee, they technically do scale up to a certain point, but then there's a point where they just kind of fall over. And one of the points where Nidalee falls over is when Banshee's Veils, if they do end up getting picked up by the opposing team, comes out, or just the magic resistance starts to become too much and the spears are basically negligible. And there comes the point where, Echo says, okay, enough is enough, and he just runs in on your team. You get speed boost by Zillion. You can't kill him because you have to kill him 3 times because of Kindred's ultimate, Zillion's ultimate, and Echo's own ultimate. And
so it's probably Guardian Angel.
Longzhu just doesn't have a way to actually deal with that outside of Callista. So when your main focal point of a composition is poke,
Pure stand behind me. Emperor actually going forward. He's got Coco coming in from the flank, and both teams just backing out for now.
So when the main focal point of your composition is poke, and then you have this fallback to a defensive or an offensive kiting inside of a Callista, it's not the best situation to be in.
There for Arrow. Nice snipe on the Ezreal ultimate. Predicts exactly where Longzhu are going to be. KT now trying to push them out of the jungle. Limit some of this ward coverage, but still leaving some of it up.
And now, they're just posturing. And so the big change in pace is definitely going to come when Jace turns that tier into an item. Because as soon as that happens, and it does seem like Morellonomicon is coming out for Zillion, by the way, when that does happen, that is going to be when Longzhu is looking to start their sieges. And these sieges are going to be very different from just a Varus shooting an arrow from an entire screen away, because these are going to be much quicker, and they're going to be much more relentless.
Score might find, does see the recall there for Chaser, so he will communicate to the rest of his team. He takes that opportunity to recall as well, so both junglers off the map for the time being, and I think that will, how does it affect the game when you know that a significant portion of your opponent's team is recalled? Does it maybe make you more willing to make these rotations happen?
Well, I mean, it's definitely breathing room. When the entire enemy team is recalled, it basically gives you a chance to really look at the map and see what is going on. And right now, I mean, we're 17 minutes into the game, and there's been a lot of missed opportunities from both teams.
What is going on, LS? Because I haven't seen a whole lot. We've seen some objectives traded away, but it's 2-1, turrets to dragons for both teams.
Well, the problem was the second dragon was taken at a time where KT couldn't really do anything about it, so it did not directly line up with KT's temporary spike over Longzhu.
Well, here and now both of those steals again. Last time Coco actually was able to take the blue buff. He does take it again.
Yeah, but I mean, it doesn't matter at the end of the day, because you could argue that, yes, Zillion doesn't have blue buff, but that doesn't really matter. They're basically just trading blues.
Coco's getting zoned away from his mid lane, so he's forced to use that empowered shock blast just to try to clear out some of the minions. Nice zone there by Fly, and I really think that's one of the cool things about New Zillion is like his zone is so much stronger than it used to be. Like before he could like slow you down or bomb you up, and here comes Emperor. Fate's call on in there. Pure doesn't even have his ultimate from having used it earlier. It's gonna to be 2 ults down for Longzhu.
And, well, looks like there's just a small skirmish in the top lane, but nothing's really going to happen. Water Dragon coming out for Longzhu if they do capture it. Will synergize very nicely with our Mountain Drake, and then that'll round out the 3 dragons for the game. So there's not going to be any Inferno Drake, which it's kind of sad because that is one of the better dragons.
Man, yeah, I think we saw it week 1. I know it was in the EU Challenger Series qualifiers that happened before LCK started. We saw teams have 3 Inferno Drakes just be the first 3 to spawn.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, if that ever happens, you don't just win, but you certainly deal a lot of damage. And here it comes. Oh, the steal from Chaser. Sickest spear thrown out there to grab away another dragon for Longzhu.
That spear was Longinus.
Oh my gosh.
What? That's
To be
that's
fair,
the spear that pierced God.
It's just a dragon, man.
No.
It's not even the best dragon.
Okay. All right, that's... You know
and
what?
to be fair, it is actually a javelin in the end, actually. So, javelins are spears meant to be thrown. Spear naturally a thrusting item.
If Nidalee was in the Olympics, would that be fair?
Well, that's what's kind of curious to me, because like Pantheon has a spear too, but he throws it as well. So, I don't know, man.
Pantheon would cheat at pole vaulting. You know? That just wouldn't be very fair.
But where's the pole vaulting champion, Riot? I guess technically Fizz kind of does that. All right, we could have like a League of Legends Olympics. I remember when they came out with like Mario versus Sonic
Mario.
Olympics. Like, how is that a game? Like, that's the game that your mom goes to GameStop and buys for you. It's like, oh man, the Olympics are coming up. My kid loves sports. He loves Mario and Sonic. What a great game! No, don't buy that. Moms out there, if you're watching LCK, think of your kids. Just ask them what they want, and they'll tell you a video game, you go buy it, and they'll be totally happy, I promise.
All right, well, 20 minutes and not 1 kill yet. Absolutely fascinating. And so the problem, though, is Longzhu is about to enter into their phase where they're going to start their assault. And we see Kalista about to complete Rune Hurricane. Maokai probably not too far off of completing that Sunfire Cape. And that's going to be when the assault begins. And KT hasn't really done anything, and then all KT is going to be asking themselves is, can we weather the storm until we can make it to our 3rd and 4th items? Where then again, at the 4th items, Longzhu does kick in too, but so does KT, so it's sort of a battle of who can play it better.
Chaser, they can stop his recall. Score does not. Waits for the recall to happen, flips over the wall, and now coming onto the bottom lane, Expression is in a little bit of a rough spot here. He's trying to run away. Go for the teleport. There's no hard CC aside from parallel convergence, and he gets out alive.
Seems like he teleported to the top tower, but then a ping went down on the bottom tower, so maybe, I don't know what happened there. But, it's fine.
Trees, man.
Yeah.
How does it work? What happens? Just teleport away? How can trees teleport, but we can't teleport yet, LS?
You know? I don't know. How does Olive Garden have unlimited breadsticks if God doesn't exist? You know?
One of life's great mysteries here.
Indeed.
I've actually never thought about that.
Yeah.
Not a big fan of breadsticks, so it really just does not impact my life at all. Baron buff, though, impacts a lot of lives, and after missing that gank on the bottom lane, Score says he wants something more and comes up top for the Baron. 6,000 HP and dropping. Teleport now actually coming in for Someday. He will be able to join this fight and help his team secure Baron Nashor. Chaser is in the area. Here comes a Terror Call. The Chani will turn his team invulnerable. Baron's gonna get taken by Score. KT will have that buff. Longzhu will pick up some kills here. They're going to grab one on to, I think, Chaser. Chaser actually wind up dying. Okay, so Longzhu lose their jungler. Can they find more?
That was a very, very interesting Baron sneak. The only problem, I mean, it's kind of funny how we talked about Longzhu was about to gear up into doing this right here, where they group up and they start their assault, but now the Baron empowered minions.
Stun on Ikoko. That's like, what, 2.25 seconds. Coco just absolutely destroyed, and he's actually going to wind up suiciding, going down to Chani. KT on the chase here. Can they find anything? Pure force a flash over the wall and score on the chase. He's looking for Emperor. He's trying to get another flip, and he will actually get that one down. Tarek Stun's not going to land there. Score, you're going to tumble forward for another kill. 3-0, and all of a sudden, things falling apart here for Longzhu.
Everything just collapsed all at the same moment. So we were talking about how Longzhu was about to get into the position to, you know, start laying siege to KT's turrets, and, you know...
Oh, Chaser on the stun, gets stunned rather. There's a flash in from Achani! He's gonna make the play, and he deserves that kill. The 4th kill of the game.
This might actually just snowball out of control in the next few moments here into game.
Baron, 2 turrets, 3 turrets possibly on the rotation down to the bottom lane, but no minion wave there. Okay, there it is.
We need that NA Baron power play statistic right now, because that would be off the charts.
It actually would. That's why there is no chart, because it would be off of it. So.
Oh.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, they do end up getting the tower. So that tower did not last. And they get the blue again. So all of a sudden, there was, again, as I was saying, Longzhu was about to have their big wake-up where KT needed an answer. And what ends up happening is they found an answer inside of a Baron sneak, and they got it, and everything just came crashing down all at once.
To be fair, Score there, I really feel like you have to give him a lot of props. The Baron buff so close to being the deciding factor in one way or another, and he made it happen. He got that for his team. Fly there with the Baron buff. Chani even more purple than you... Actually, no, that's purple and pink. Fun fact, I cannot tell the difference between purple and pink.
Are you colorblind?
In some weird way, they just actually look the same to me. It's not like red, green, or anything crazy like that. I actually just see 2 colors and they look exactly the same.
All right.
I'm glad there's not pink and purple wards. That would actually just end my ability to tell what was going on, but there we go. We've got a very pink and purple Tarek. Technically, I guess. Okay, now Someday versus Emperor. Emperor, wait, what? Okay, and trying to get out of here. Achani will land a 2-man stun. That's that Achani Tarek. We're so used to seeing Chaser out of there, but Pure not so lucky. Someday finding that one fly with his move speed, trying to keep this chase going. Someday looking to continue as well. There's more move speed put on there by Zilean. Trying to get the jump here onto anyone. Arrow in the meantime pushing bottom with a full Baron buffed up minion wave. Someday not able to find a pick there, but Arrow will get a lot of damage done to this bottom turret. Actually might just be able to straight up tank it. Maokai rotating down, but I don't think Arrow is too worried about that. He does have his mortal reminder there, so Maokai will not be able to heal up when he does get hit by Ezreal damage. A big rotation to the bottom lane for KT.
Yeah, and Ezreal would have just been able to take that if he didn't make that bizarre attack onto Maokai just there, but it's not going to be the end of the world. They are going to take this Water Dragon now.
What happened with Emperor there? He walked into Echo Parallel Convergence.
Emperor said he was tired of being an Emperor, so...
Yeah, he's going to get demoted after that one, man.
Yeah.
He's now like secondary prince.
And
see a replay of what happened here. I think we're going to see Emperor, he's just...
I'm not quite sure what that was, and Pure is... Okay, well...
I don't know, it's very confusing. Achani
I should be saying something about this, but honestly, I think saying nothing says a lot more than anything I could say about it.
Yeah, just let it speak for itself. An interesting catch there, and now...
plays were just very bizarre all around.
Yeah, Score coming in for the rotation down to the bottom lane. He's running right into Expression. Arrow is here. Score taking a lot of damage. He is under those grievous wound effects, and he will actually throw down that Kindred ultimate, try to stay alive. Pure has a bomb, he might kill Expression. Okay, no, he's too tanky for that, but either way, Someday now putting pressure in the mid lane on that mid lane base turret, and man, Longzhu just getting stretched so many different ways. Hard to keep themselves alive. Score and Fly very low.
Yeah, and the only thing that I don't like is I don't like the fact that they're not executing a 1-1-3. And the reason that you would want to execute a 1-1-3 is basically Zilean is immortal in mid lane. Echo, no one can really answer to him right now in the top lane. You had the Baron buff. Baron is coming up in approximately 1.5 minutes. You can easily just have 3 members in the bottom lane asserting pressure. That tower is the lowest one, which means that even a slight hesitation or a slight lack of defense means that you could capture it. And then you just 1-1-3, you stretch them thin, you wear them down, and they are the team that needs to be together. if you look at their team outside
Longzhu, the famous bush bait. Will they capitalize on it? No, they get double stunned. A great spot there for KT to capitalize on Chani with a preemptive ultimate just in time. Nobody's going to be dying from his team yet, but Coco, he's actually going to go down, and now Emperor forced to use that it's call backwards to escape. KT firing off there. Coco, what was that? But not in the Faker way.
And, well...
Did they just lose the game off of this?
I mean, they might have just lost the game. They can definitely use Echo to tank, and they have Zillion ultimate, so...
I mean, the entire team is up. Emperor does not have an ultimate. Braum doesn't either. Everything else up, but now a rotation down to the bottom lane. It's going to be mid-inhibitor down, and Someday going in for the dive. Turret will be focused, finally taken out there, and now on to the inhibitor. KT pressuring for this. Is this getting a little bit greedy, though? Coco's up in 8 seconds. Can KT keep this siege alive? Looks like the answer is no.
Yeah, and they don't really need to. Just, you know, slow and steady wins the race. They definitely need a recall with Baron coming up in a second here. It looks like they are going to hand off the red to Arrow, or will it go to Score? It looks like Score wants to decide to take it, so he's going to take it, clear out the right side jungle. He is extremely healthy, so there's no real incentive for him to rush to Baron.
Oh, but here comes Longzhu. They're on top of wards, and they know it. So they will be going, but can't. Something's just like, hey guys, you forgot about your base, and he's in there to take an inhibitor. Longzhu definitely going for the desperation play here. Score is going to deal a ton of damage there to Pure. Oh, he actually pops his ultimate, but it's not in range to keep Baron alive. Baron does get taken there by Emperor, but can Longzhu turn this one around? Sickest stuns onto the backline, but Emperor's Maw actually does keep him alive. Emperor still in this, ticking down from Ignite though. He will stay alive at the end, and oh my gosh, what is happening here? Chaser jumping around all over everyone. Are Longzhu winning this? They are gonna find a couple of kills, but what just happened there, LS?
I mean, teams don't understand macro priority.
Coco just bops Chani on the head.
He came down on Tarek like a top, you know? He came down right from the top.
Yeah, that is not, in general, a great place to be come down on a... Not a happy experience there, and we're gonna watch this again. Walk us through what happened here. I mean,
at this point in the time, you have mid pushing, you have Echo in bottom inhibitor. The Baron doesn't do anything.
And look at that sickest stun there from Fly's.
Yeah, but this doesn't matter. This fight shouldn't happen. The fact that KT doesn't recognize that, hey, have the Baron, you can't recall. That's all that they should have been saying. Time and time again, as we're watching these series in the first week, second week here, we're seeing these Korean teams not understand macro priority, and it's just really sad to see. They have so many options available to close out the game, and they fail to either see it or capitalize on it.
Man, you gotta let them know, man. Just hand them your Twitter, be like, guys, I'm out there, save your macro play. LS, the savior of Korea, the hero they deserve. We'll see the push up here now. Longzhu all of a sudden only 4,000 gold behind every game this series. We have seen the team that is behind early come back and win it in the end. And KT come out with a couple of explosive team fights, but now it's Longzhu who are back, I don't know, in the driver's seat. They're still pretty far behind.
No, they're so far behind. That fight was taken from an extremely bad angle by KT. Now they have the 2 inhibitors exposed, so they're using this time to sort of try to salvage the map. Fortunately for them, though, this is not Elder Dragon, so it's not going to be the final nail in the coffin. However, for the team fight that is going to be coming up here in just a few moments, Callista will be summonerless. And Callista, if she was, if she doesn't have her summoners and she goes down, they have no insurance policy, because we just saw how close that fight was at Baron, and she escaped by the skin of her teeth.
Oh my gosh, this game is starting to get a little crazy. It's continuing to be crazy, let's put it that way. And KT, they're still trying to push these objectives, push out onto the map. They do have the advantage, but the Aaron buff is it's always kind of scary to work with. Ocean Drake coming up here. This will be the last regular dragon of the game. Elder Dragon spawns after this. It'll be double Ocean Drake for KT.
Yeah, and that's gonna give 3 dragons. So the final marks for dragons will be 2 for Longzhu and 3 for KT. So the Elder Dragon definitely gonna benefit KT a little bit more than Longzhu in the event that they do end up getting it. And so Jace's build is also a little bit peculiar. I'm surprised that he didn't actually go for a Black Cleaver. So I don't know what Jace's exact CDR is right now. But there was a Callista on the team, so it's not like Black Cleaver would have been outside of the realm of possibility, given that Black Cleaver did get buffed. So I was expecting to see that. And then on top of that, who really has armor on KT's team? Echo?
Yeah, definitely Echo.
What do you
but that's
need
about
the
it.
last Whisper for?
Yo, there's a frozen mallet on Ezreal, man. You gotta penetrate it. Or not frozen mallet, the Iceborne Gauntlet, yeah.
I'm not quite sure what the point of that is.
Alright, well now we see KT setting up for a siege against the Baron, buffed up Longzhu. Last outer turret will fall. KT take it down.
Well, and now it looks like KT is just sort of, wrapping around like a snake.
Like a boa constrictor?
Like a boa constrictor, yes.
Did you ever have a boa constrictor, LS?
No, I saw one, though, at a carnival once.
Yeah, my sister had a boa constrictor for like a week.
Yeah.
Didn't go well, man. Not a big fan. And now in the mid lane, putting
Speaking
pressure.
of carnivals, I think we might be about to see one if KT loses this. So
yeah, we're going to see a bunch of happy fans in one way or another. Definitely coming into the series, KT the favorites, but now can Longzhu hang on and pick up their first series win of LCK? They fought their way through all the way to this deciding game, and everything on the line here as this push continues.
Can Echo please get a Guardian Angel? That would be absolutely fantastic.
He's already got 2 on his team. I mean,
well, I know that, but it would be a lot more helpful for just literally
trying to go in damage there. The inhibitor does fall. Score and arrow very low. Here comes the Taric ultimate. They will be invulnerable for 2.5 seconds right now. Score still alive, flashing over, and he will save himself with his own Kindred ultimate. Coco taking a little bit of the damage, but he's actually in a very safe place. KT going forward. They will lose Echo, or lose someday. Yeah, the first time, but there's a snipe on the back lines. It's going to be Kindred falling down. Longzhu, can they stay in this fight long enough? Very, very tanky. Especially looks like he will be the next call someday. So tanky. He's up in the front line. We do not have Fly with an ultimate to save anybody yet, so KT fight that fight.
Can you imagine if Echo just had a Guardian Angel? This fight is it's completely different for KT. If he just had a Guardian Angel, that would have been a lot more destructive. I mean, they end up coming out on top. They get both the inhibitors. They get the flash and the heal out of Callista. Look at Longzhu right now. They have no summoner spells with the exception of Jace's flash and Brahm's flash for the upcoming Baron fight.
So
now KT Arrow, well they have the 2 summoner spells, right? But if you look at who has the summoner spells on KT's side, you have it on Ezreal and you have it on Echo.
Watching this again there, Score actually winds up dying here immediately after he flips out of the base, actually flashes out, he winds up getting sniped out. So in the meantime, I think it's actually Chaser that narrowly survives as well there. Coco busts him from on high, but winds up barely kiting backwards, and especially there just can't tank long enough.
Yeah, and I mean the problem here is Longzhu did really well at trying to salvage as much as possible, but it just wasn't enough in the end because they're too far behind right now. And now they're just going to posture for a Baron. And if they can end up securing this Baron, that might finally end it. And, the Magi's that came out on Sunday, it wasn't necessarily the worst transition, but I do think it is a little overeager.
It is confident. That's what we're calling it nowadays. Score going inside the base, a lot of damage onto Coco. He does get hit by that true shot barrage, but stays alive just barely. That might have been game over if he had gone down, and now Longzhu returning back into their base, and for that time avoids the parallel conversion, still putting out damage onto Someday. Hasn't popped that Ren just yet, and Chaser throwing out those spears. Pure going forward, trying to be aggressive, but there's a twisted advance in and on the back on the Score. But here comes that Taric ult from On, keeping everyone alive for just a little bit longer. Someday forward, Someday dies without ulting. Expression might pop for that bomb, and he almost dies, but just barely stays alive again.
If Zilean had just ulted, that probably would have been game over. I mean, it still might be game over, but do not underestimate Jace and Nidalee's ability to chase you down. Now, they do have Ezreal and his Arcane Shift, and, Zilean speeding people up, and, Kindred skips away.
They're actually going to do the Baron here. No, they're going to bait it out.
No, they're looking for, are there any blue trinkets up? No, there's not.
You have to check this with Shock Blast or Spear or something or other. Goes the Spear, sees it go through, but Zilean did reveal himself.
And that Jace hit did nothing. That did what, like 17%?
Yeah, it's
That was not what I was
relevant.
expecting. I was expecting to chunk Ezreal at least 40%.
Yeah, this is the 4 big aggressive items on Coco. But bottom lane, oh man, you got to get back to the base. There's the Winions coming in, but Longzhu are actually going to commit to this fight. Your base is dying, and they do send 2 back, Emperor, and
all that I would like to see here right now, honestly, is you could even go for the teleport play that we saw earlier, where you teleport down Echo, Maokai matches the teleport, and you ult back into Baron. That is one thing that you could do. Alternatively, you could prevent Longzhu from recalling if they try to contest and then double teleport onto the turrets.
Well, Baron is going to go to KT Rolster. They will head back to base with a ton of gold in tow. Elder Dragon being shown there, spawning up. Chaser in the area, but we need the team to take that one down. I don't know what to say. This game is going the distance, but double super minions in every single lane mean that Longzhu really can't make it out to contest anything.
All right, and now it looks like they're just going to play it as safe as humanly possible and just try to take the Elder Dragon. If Longzhu wants any hope at trying to stay in this game, they need Jace to take this or Nidalee.
Well, they do have the ability to poke it out. It's not resetting. It's being held there at the entrance of the pit. Chaser waiting with spears, but I don't think it's a big mystery to see whether or not he's going to go in there. No steal attempt. The dragon does actually reset to the center of the pit. It is spearable, shock blastable, but not going to be stolen away. Baron, buff, and Elder Dragon for KT Rolster. They push into a base with only 1 Nexus turret remaining.
And now that Guardian Angel completed onto Someday, so that's the item that I was looking to see, because the Magi's is basically negligible. And this is probably going to be the Doom push. What kind of a
teleport coming in here from Expression. He's looking to try to make a play to turn this game around. He does wind up flashing out of there. Achani in the front, but Someday's winning the game. No one can stop Someday on the Nexus, and as long as you come back in to try, KT will get themselves in a great position. Stun onto Coco. Immediately QSS trying to turn around for the damage, but the damage needs to go down onto the Nexus. And there's Kindred. You can't kill KT, but they can kill the Nexus. Chaser with a kill there to close things out. A 10-7 score in the end. Korea Telecom picking up the win.
That reminded me of a Tyrael ultimate from another game. So, anyways, that was kind of nice to see the Kindred ultimate. A little bit stylish, not necessarily needed in order to finish that game off.
Sort of the guarantee at the end. We can't die. Your Nexus can. Sorry, guys. GG. And yeah, KT will win the series 2-1. Over Longzhu. Man, Longzhu played their hearts out. They were definitely, they said trust us coming into this, and you can definitely see some improvements over their previous games.
They played okay, but honestly there was questionable rotations from both teams. KT looking a lot more solid in the final game there, and you know, what can you say? And the composition basically came out and it showed itself. The problem though is what was Maokai doing in that last fight there with that teleport? He was like, okay, yeah, let's have a fight. So then your front line your back line is entirely exposed, which that's what KT wants. So what are you doing?
See Coach Lustboy there in the back, giving the final thoughts to the rest of his players. He was walking around after game number 1, and you could see big smiles on his face, like, yeah, things are finally working, but just could not close it out. KT wound up, pulling the comeback.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Looks like they came crashing down is all. So, unfortunate there for Longzhu, and, nice win for KT. So, KT now has 2 series wins, and they move on to being, what is it now, 4-2? No. 4-2?
As far as wins go,
yeah. Wins, lost, 4-2.
So they have put up some good performances. It's been a little bit scary to be a KT fan, losing this game to Longzhu, and then
they almost lost to MVP one set.
The most almost I've ever seen. So KT fans out there might need some resuscitation, but they are still good to go. KT still very strong, and Longzhu struggle. They do win their first game of LCK tonight, but need to wind up picking up 2 to win the series. So a little
right. So
who's your MVP for this series?
From this series, I don't know. I mean, I want to say Fly, but he missed 2 ultimates. Some days itemization really didn't do it for me. Hachani, I don't think was really.
Yeah, that level 1 Hachani
I guess
steal.
it has to just be score, even though the KDA isn't representative. I think that everything he did at certain points was really.
Yeah, that level 1 Hachani
I guess
steal.
it has to just be score, even though the KDA isn't representative. I think that everything he did at certain points was pretty clutch, and he died, but it was necessary. And then Jace or Coco was able to get that snipe on him in that one team fight. Other than that, his KDA would probably look relatively clean.
Well, let's go ahead and see who it is. It is actually Someday. Okay, not the flashiest of KDAs, but 90% kill participation and a lot of big flanks that came in big for his team and just held his own in that lane versus Expression.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, I guess there's no real other contenders really that exist outside of Score, but his team fighting on Echo is a little bit questionable because it seems like he always overreached in some cases, although I guess one time could be at the fault of Fly not ulting him in front of the Nexus turrets that one time.
You have a Zillion on your team that doesn't ult. What's up with that?
Yeah.
See that coming in. So awesome to see a win here for KT Rolster. Someday getting that MVP. Should have an MVP interview coming up here in just a little bit. So you guys are going to look forward to that. And here we go.
KT 롤스터의 경기 결과 KT 롤스터가 짜릿한 역전승을 거뒀습니다. 오늘의 MVP 선수들 함께 만나보시죠.
어디 봐요?
네, 먼저 2세트 MVP 에로우 선수입니다. 축하드립니다.
감사합니다.
여기 보시면 됩니다, 카메라는.
네. We're gonna have an
네,
interview
지금
with Arrow.
정말 짜릿한 역전승을 막 거두고 이 자리에 오셨는데 힘드시죠, 많이?
좀 세 경기나 해가지고
Are
많이
you tired?
지치네요.
1세트에서
says,
KT
I'm
롤스터가
kinda
좀
tired.
힘을 못 쓰고 아쉽게 패배했어요.
네.
그 아쉬움을 뒤로하고 2세트 뱀픽.
So they
바루스에서
lost the first
아지르로
pick.
바뀐 거 말고는 뱀픽이 똑같았어요. 1세트 패배의 원인을 챔피언의 조합으로 보시진
But
않았던
the,
것
the pick
같아요.
ban was almost the
1세트
same
패배의
in the
요인을
second
뭐라고
set.
생각하셨나요?
1세트 때는 챔피언의 요인보다는 제가 케이틀린 할 때 있어서 그 덫을 깔러가는 구도를 잡는 그게 패배 요인이라고 생각이 들었어요. 그때 그래서 그 요인을 가지고 두 번째 경기 때
It wasn't
피드백을
the pick ban
해주셔서
wasn't the reason
그
that
위주로
people
풀어나갔어요.
lost.
그리고 2세트 1픽을 케이틀린으로 딱
네.
And that's
박으셨더라고요.
why it
그만큼 좀 원딜의
didn't
힘을
really
실어주겠다는 의미였던 것 같은데 자신이 있었나요?
It didn't really change the bans in
뭐
the second
자신이
set.
있었다기보다는 워낙 케이틀린이라는 챔피언이 지금 저희 생각에는 좋다고 생각이 들어서 그렇게 픽을 한 것 같아요.
1세트도
I
유리했던
really feel like
상황을
Caitlyn is
역전당했기
really,
때문에
really good right
2세트도
now.
좀 긴장의 끈을 놓으실 수
So
없었을
that's
것
why I
같아요.
picked her.
바텀 억제기를 밀었을 때 에코가 혼자 탑 억제기까지 밀었거든요.
네.
그때 또 롱주가 귀환을 못하게 시간을 끌어주면서 좀 당황했을 것 같은데 그때는 어떠셨나요?
그때 그 바텀 억제기 타워까지 때리는 거는 확인을 했는데 그 이후에는 이제 못 보다가 도망치려고 하다가 다시
We're
보니까
talking about how Echo
억제기가
had
깨고
so much
있어서
time free to
그냥
himself.
상대팀
and
선수들이
top.
좀 잘했다고 생각이 들어요.
억제기까지 밀릴 줄 알았나요? 저는 탑은 밀릴 것 같다고 생각을 했는데 억제기까지 밀릴까라고 생각을 했거든요, 저는.
당연히 막을 줄 알았는데 이제 아무래도 시간이 좀 끌리다 보니까 그렇게 밀 수 있었던 것 같아요.
자, 2세트에서 에로우 선수가 워낙 활약을 해줬어서 그런지 3세트 에로우 선수 3저격밴을 당했어요. 그땐 어땠나요?
그게 저격 밴인지 어떤 밴인지는 잘 모르겠는데 그냥
The
너
opponents in
원거리
the final game,
챔피언
they
뭐 할래
basically
이렇게
sniped all of
물어보는
Arrow's
것 같기도
champions.
해서 그것들이 밴드했을 때 이제 남은 게 이즈리얼이 있었는데 그걸로 활약을 하고 싶었는데 약간은 못해가지고 아쉽네요.
It's saying that even though they banned all the 80 carries, Ezreal was still existing, so it wasn't really that much of a problem
다시
if you
한번 오늘
wanted to
승리
play it.
축하드립니다.
감사합니다.
네, 2세트 MVP 선수 에로우 선수까지 만나봤고요. 마지막
And,
세트 MVP
thank
선수
you to
만나보도록 하겠습니다. 네, 썸데이 선수 만나보겠습니다. 축하드립니다.
안녕하세요.
네,
Now
오늘
they're
천당과
interviewing the
지옥을
MVP
여러 번
someday.
오고 가셨을 것 같아요.
네.
네, 지금 소감이 어떠신가요?
How do you feel about
저희
winning?
팀 미드가 경기 끝나고 자기 좀 까달라고 하더라고요. 그래서 오늘은 저희 팀 미드랑 원딜이 좀 상태가 메롱이어서 제가 좀 고통받았다고 생각하고요. 그래도 결론은 이겼기 때문에 좋아요.
네, 빅토르를 살리고 질리언을 가져갔어요. 빅토르를
네.
안 가져가고.
네.
그 이유가 딱히 있었나요?
You're
그건
saying that,
뱀픽
the
전략에
80
저희 오코치님의 머리에서 나온 생각이고요.
The 80
용준이가
carry and
미드에
the mid
챔프폭이
player didn't
넓어서
really perform very well,
챔프를
and I
주더라도
really wanted to make sure to say that in the
컨택할 수
interview.
질리언 가져가고 에코 타리까지 약간 조합 자체가 좀비 같은 조합이었어요.
네.
약간 KT 롤스터의 비장의 카드 같은 느낌이었는데
네.
맞나요? 준비된 비장의 카드가?
연습 단계에서 썼을 때 정말 좋다고 생각했고 비장의 카드를 좀 일찍 꺼낸 것 같아서 조금 아쉽네요.
오늘 선대희 선수는 참 만감이 교차했을 것 같아요. 1세트 정말 초반에 좋은 모습 보여줬거든요. 마오카이로. 또 2세트에서도 마오카이로 충분히 활약을 해줬고
네.
근데 1세트에서 아쉽게 졌기 때문에 좀 아쉬움이 남았을 것 같은데 3세트에서 또 도리어 뿌듯하셨을 것 같아요. 상대 마오카이 에코를 잡으셨는데
네.
초반에 라인전 절대 안 밀리시더라고요.
네.
뿌듯하셨나요?
상대 정글러가 조금 노골적으로 탑을 많이 노리더라고요. 그래서 조금 화가 났는데 그래도 버티면 우리 팀이 잘 해주겠지, 버티면 우리 팀이 캐리 해주겠지 이렇게
Saying that the
해서
opposing
저는
jungler really
제
came to
역할을
top
다
lane a
해서
lot.
이긴 것 같아요.
3세트도
So it was a little
조금
bit
마지막까지
problematic.
아슬아슬했을 것 같아요. 바론
네.
앞에 스코어 선수가 양의 안식처를 아주 미세한 차이로 바론이 바로 녹아버렸잖아요. 양의
네.
안식처를 제대로 못 써서.
네.
그때 좀 당황하진 않으셨나요?
그때 오더 자체가 상대 롱주 팀이 그냥 이거는 시간을 더 끌면 우리는 무조건 진다. 그래서 도박을 한번 해본 건데 그걸 간파하고 저희는 그 한타를 저도 게임을 진다고 하진 않았었어요.
이미 그때 승기를 잡았던 걸 확신하셨군요.
네.
네, 좋습니다. 이제 다음 경기는 SKT와의 경기거든요.
네.
또 어떻게 준비하실 계획이신지 좀 한 말씀 해주시죠.
아침에 경기하거든요. 그래서 저희가 옛날에 아침에 경기하면 조금 안 좋은 추억이 있어가지고 걱정되긴 하는데 그때는 지금보다 더 좋은 모습으로 보여드리도록 하겠습니다. 감사합니다.
네, 여름의 KT인만큼 다음 경기도 기대하도록 하겠습니다. 다시 한번 축하드립니다.
감사합니다.
네, 이렇게 해서 3세트 MVP 선수 썸데이 선수까지 만나봤습니다. 오늘 경기 결과가 포함된 순위 살펴보겠습니다. 오늘 KT가 2대1로 이기면서
at the end of day number 3 in week 2. Samsung Galaxy still there up at the top, and now KT Rolster joining the Gen Air Green Wings tied for second place, 3 points apiece. That's going to do it for our MVP interviews tonight, mentioning that our next matchup will be SK Telecom T1, their first game. They head out on the Rift versus Gen Air, and that game will be tomorrow. So if you guys want to check out tickets for that information, see that information up there on the screen. We do have Rox versus SKT, Longzhu versus CJ, and KT versus Rox games coming up. So you guys will be looking forward to seeing those games coming up a little bit later on. But that's going to do it for us tonight. Any final thoughts about this series, LS?
No, just I'm hoping that as the season progresses that the macro play also progresses for all the teams so far. And
Brand new patch, lots to
KT, I
adjust
think that KT needs to. Well, no, I disagree. I think 6.10 does not actually change a lot. I think that 6.10 is one of the fastest solved patches.
Really?
And yeah, in complete seriousness. I think maybe 6.11, 6.12 will change some things, but 6.10 has had so much time because there were so many regions together playing on Korea in the last month that I think a lot of stuff got solved quickly. But anyways, moving forward, KT has a lot to work on if they want to live up to, the other telecom, moving forward into LCK summer. And Longzhu looking, well mechanically, but they really need to, fix up and patch up their problems that they're having as a team right now.
Yeah, lots of improvements to come for both of these rosters. Longzhu need to keep their fans' trust as they continue to look for their first series win in LCK. We'll have to wait until next week to see that. But looking forward to seeing SK Telecom come out tomorrow. I know a lot of people still waiting for them. And that's going to do it for us tonight. Thank you guys so much for watching. We love you, and we'll see you next week.
Turn back time.